And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kilpack versus Mills Crane. Step forward.
19-year-old Jamie Kilpack is suing her former friends, Michelle Mills and Melissa Crane, for vandalizing her car.
Miss Kilpack, it is your claim that these two young ladies vandalized your car.
Yes.
On what date did they do that?
It was July 6th.
2012?
Yeah.
How do you know them?
I've been really good friends with them for a couple years.
Your first name is Jamie, is that right?
Yes.
Who are you?
Michelle.
And you?
Melissa.
Who had the boyfriend?
Me.
What was his name?
His name was Chris.
And when did you and Chris date?
We dated from 2009 to 2012.
When in 2012?
Probably about May.
Who broke up with whom?
I broke up with him.
Why?
Just didn't work out.
How old are you?
22.
So you broke up with him in May. And then, according to what I'm piecing together in my vast experience with young, stupid people, you heard via the grapevine that your friend was dating Chris.
Not that he was dating, just that they had slept together.
That's a close date. On what date did you hear that?
I'm not sure of the exact date. It was just a few months after we broke up.
Well, it was a time when you were very, 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 very upset.
Yes, I was still upset.
And you and Melissa discussed how upset you are.
Yes.
And in the middle of the night, you decided you really wanted to talk to her again.
Yes, we.
So I'm going to
wanted
refresh your recollection. It was the night of July 6th.
Yes.
So when you decided that you had to talk to Jamie again, what did you do?
Well, we went to go talk to her at her house, and she was.
Just a second. How did you get to her house?
Melissa drove me.
Is Melissa sleeping over?
We were at her house.
What were you doing at her house?
We were just watching movies and hanging out and talking.
What time did you decide to go over and have this other conversation with your former friend Jamie?
It was about 10:30 at night.
Had you spoken to her earlier that day?
Yes, we talked on the phone and argued.
Well, tell me about phone conversations back and forth.
Well, I was frustrated because she admitted that she had slept with my boyfriend, and I was mad and had a very few choice words for her.
Why?
I
mean, did she admit that she had slept with your boyfriend before May or after May?
It was before May. It was while we were together.
When before May?
It was last year, sometime in 2011. They didn't say exactly what day it was or what month.
But it was while you and Chris were together?
Yes.
Well, then I can understand why you felt hurt and betrayed. And at 10:30 at night, you wanted to go talk to her again.
Yes, I wanted to talk to her in person to wonder why she did it.
What difference does it make?
Well, I was a really good friend to her. I let her live with me for a while for free. I know she had slept with a lot of other friends of hers' boyfriends, but I didn't think she would do it to me because I was a really good friend to
Chris anymore. So it would seem to me the intelligent thing to do would be, well, I'm not interested in Chris anymore because I broke up with him.
Mm-hmm.
That was a while ago. He's ancient history. And now the issue is, do I want to continue to be friends with Jamie, considering that I really can't trust her? The answer is no. So what else is there to talk about?
I'm not
What
sure.
else is there to talk about? I mean, what do you do? What do you do to keep yourself busy?
I just want to know why she did it.
Why should she felt like it? She felt like it. How many times did you speak to Chris?
I spoke with him a few times.
That day?
Yes.
Why?
I'm not sure.
Just wanted to get it out of your system. I asked you, what do you do to keep busy?
What do I do to keep busy?
Yeah. I mean, do you work? Do you go to school?
I work. I'm a dispatcher.
For?
For an alarm monitoring center.
Great. And how many days a week do you work?
5.
You got to find some other things to do, like volunteering or something to keep your mind occupied, because this is nonsense that you shouldn't be involved with.
I have a daughter as well that I hang out with all the time.
Well,
So
that's
keeps
great.
me
Is that
pretty
Chris's
busy.
daughter?
No.
Somebody else's daughter?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
Yeah, you've been very busy.
Yes.
You got to stay out of this social stupidity.
Yes.
What about you? What'd you go over there for?
I just went with her.
And what did you do when you got there?
Well, Michelle went and knocked on the door.
You went up and you knocked on her door. Who does she live with?
She lived with her friend Haley.
So you knocked at the door and?
No one answered, so we left.
Now you can tell me what happened.
Michelle called me that day when I was working.
I'm past that. I'm about at 10:30 at night when they came to the house.
It was more like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Could have been later than 10:30,
It wasn't later than 10:30. It was at the latest 10:45.
but not 3 o'clock in the
No.
morning. Go ahead.
Well, that's when I got text messages, and she called me a couple times, and the text messages saying she wanted me to come over and hang out. And I didn't really think anything of it when I woke up. And then I woke up, and my friend Kyler, she was sleeping over, and she told me that she's seen people
Don't
outside.
tell me what she told you. Is this the lady?
Yeah.
Stand. Last name.
Cross.
Go ahead.
I had been sleeping over at Jamie's house, and I just woke up in the middle of the night. I have no idea what time it was.
but they had been knocking on the door, and then I just looked out the window, and I had no idea, like, couldn't recognize them really. It was dark. I just saw them around her car, 2 girls.
You heard them knocking at the door?
Yeah.
Why didn't you answer the door?
It wasn't my house. I didn't know who it was. Jamie was asleep, and that was...
Good. Fine. So you saw them knocking at the door?
Yes.
Anything else? Okay. Sit. Was the car scratched up like this before July 6th?
No.
Can I have an estimate for fixing it, please? How old is your daughter?
She's 4.
You have children too?
Yeah,
How old are you?
I'm 20.
More than one child?
No, just one.
How old?
She's 2.
Who was watching your child on July 6th?
She was with her dad that weekend.
And what about you?
My sister had her.
Does she live with your sister?
No, she was just having a sleepover.
If you're old enough to make a baby and to be a mother, you should be old enough not to be involved in this kind of stupidity. Do you understand?
We didn't do that.
Yes, you did. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She didn't do that to her car. She sleeps with everybody's boyfriend. Anyone could have done it.
They did it. I don't know why they would.
All of her friends upset. She slept with all of their boyfriends.
Because they were mad that I slept with her boyfriend, I guess.
She told me that she slept with my boyfriend.
But it was when we weren't friends, so it was before we were friends.
No, I wouldn't be her friend again.
She lied about it. It was way before a year ago.
I don't really want her to sleep with any of my other boyfriends.
Never choose a boy over friendship, or boys are pointless, I guess.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bell versus Hughes. Step forward.
Ebony Bell is suing her former roommate, Sabrina Starr Hughes, for stealing her SUV.
Ms. Bell, the defendant is your former friend, former roommate. You claim that she stole your car and sold it. She says you are absolutely ridiculous. From what I gather, you traded car keys for some reason. When?
May of 2012.
You used her car?
Yep. Yes.
Where did you go with her car?
To the house. To our house.
To her house?
Our house.
To your house?
Yes.
Okay. And you parked it?
Yep. Yes.
And that was the last you saw of it?
Yes.
When you came down and looked for your car was gone?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, May 2012, it's the last time you saw your car. You convinced me that she stole and sold your car.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say she stole my car. She sold my car.
Well, in order to sell it, you have to steal it.
Well, yeah, she stole it then.
Well, that's what, so convince me. So far, this is all speculation.
Okay, well, I let Sabrina use my car.
I got it. She used your car. It was the last time you saw it. Now convince me that she stole and sold it.
She had the keys to my car. When I got there to pick up my car was gone. I called her and I said, Sabrina, where's my car? And she's like, it's outside. I said, no, it's not. She said, yes, it is. I parked it outside. I said, Sabrina, my car is not here. She came outside with the keys and she was like, well.
So she had the key to your car?
She had the keys to my car.
Okay, so she had the key and she said, I parked it.
And she's like, I don't know what happened to the car. I said, well, Sabrina, there's no glass out here stating that my car was stolen or somebody broke into it and stole it. Nothing. The ground was clean and everything. So I parked her car because I had her car. We went in the house and I'm like, okay, well, we need to call the police. And we called the police and they're like,
put your hand down.
Okay.
And so you called the police.
And they're like, okay.
Can I see a police report?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We called the police and they said,
called the police and she said, I parked the car.
Do you have a title? Where's the title? And we began looking for the title because I know when I had the title, by us staying together, I trusted her. You know, we were friends before anything.
Listen to me. Get to the proof that you have that she sold your car.
Okay, well, like a month later, I was walking up the street and I saw my car in the parking lot. So I began walking around my car and I'm like, this is my car. And the guy that had the car at the time, he walked up to me and he was like...
You can't tell me anything that person said to you. That's hearsay. Is he here? Is one of these people here?
Yeah, that's him.
That would be you. Then you can come up and you can have a conversation with me. Now, you purchased a car?
Yes, I did.
When?
June of 2012.
Who did you purchase it from?
I got it off Craigslist from the guy, D Tow Service.
You bought it from somebody on Craigslist?
Craigslist, right.
Do you have the title to it?
No, that's the thing. He didn't have it.
So you got no title?
No.
All right. What year car was this?
96 Trailblazer or a Chevy Blazer.
How much did you pay for it?
$800.
So now you're driving a car that's uninsured with no title.
Well, he said he was waiting to get the title from her, and it was too much of a problem when I ran into her because she was like, that's my car. And I'm like, this is not your car.
He was waiting to get a title from whom?
Plaintiff, defendant.
Well, I don't know who you're pointing to.
Oh,
I'm Sabrina.
Sabrina.
Had you ever met her before?
No, I haven't met her.
When was the first time you met her?
Just now.
Just now.
So he didn't tell you
Well,
he was
I mean,
waiting. Listen, hey, he didn't say he was waiting to get a title from her. He said he was waiting to get a title from the owner. Listen, do you understand what I'm saying to you? You bought a car, you gave the guy $800. He had no title. So you don't know whether the car is stolen, whether the car is legitimate, whether the car is anything. What's the guy's name?
It was Dee's towing.
And you know where he is now?
Not that I know of, no.
No. Where did you meet him to look at this car?
On Craigslist, he met me by my house.
He came to your house.
Well, not
He said, here,
per se to the
$800,
house.
you can have the car. Don't ask any questions. Here's the car. No title.
Well, I mean, I met him by my house, but...
Great. Fabulous. Now you can sit. So far we have no link to the defendant. He bought the car from some guy on Craigslist. Next.
I then got in touch with the tow truck driver, and I asked him...
What tow truck driver?
The man who came and got my car from Sabrina.
How did you find a tow truck driver who came and got a car?
Because I asked him where he got the car from, and he just gave me his phone number. So when I got his phone number, I called him, and I asked him, did you sell a green Chevy Blazer to a guy? And
He said yes. Okay, and?
And I asked him, where did he get the car from, and he described Sabrina.
You have no case against her. You want to bring me a witness that says that he bought the car from her, then you could do that, but you have no case against her.
But she was the last person with my car.
Doesn't matter. If the car was stolen, you filed a police report. She has no control over your car being stolen.
How was the car stolen with no broken glass?
Don't ask me questions. I don't know. Somebody who
so
was
it
very,
wasn't stolen.
somebody
She
who was
sold
very,
it.
you're
She
trying
had
to
the
talk
title.
over,
She
you're
had
trying to
everything.
talk over me, and that's not going to happen. You have no proof that she stole and sold your car. That's admissible in a court. Did you get your car back from him?
No, he's
No, I gave it back.
sold it.
He gave it back to whom?
The guy that I bought it from, because he didn't have to come with the title. He never came with the title, so I didn't have no use. I couldn't register it in my name.
So crazy. All you had to do, madam, is when you saw your car, is go to the police and say, that is my car. They would have confiscated the car and given it back to you. Because if he buys a car for cash without a title, he should have known that the car was stolen. He cannot keep stolen property. They would have given you back your car. You chose to be a detective instead of just going to the police and saying, my car is here, right on the corner of. They would have given you back your car.
I know. I talked to the officer. I have a whole police report with the officer and everything. He said, by me not having the title, I couldn't get my car.
Listen to me. You can always get another title to your car. All you have to do is go to the Department of Motor Vehicles and say, I lost the title to my car. And they will give you a duplicate title to your car. But the idea is you can't sue somebody when you have no proof that they, in fact, committed a crime. Right? Perfect. Goodbye.
Man, it's easier than I thought.
Why you gonna excuse? Step out.
It's messed up.
I mean, hey, she ain't had no case.
Because we're together, like, it was nothing that I wouldn't do for her.
I ain't steal her car. Oh, well, if she thinks so.
This was a friend to me, like, not just like some random chick or nothing like that.
She was my friend. But of course I'm not going to kick it with you or talk to you after you accuse me of stealing your car.
So I feel betrayed by her.
Go about your way, and I'm going to go about mine like I'm doing.
But it's okay. I'm not tripping about nothing.
This is your son sitting over here. You and your family were going camping for the weekend, and you invited the defendant and another young man who were friends of your son to join the family. You brought along with you 2 jet skis, and you allowed the boys to use the jet skis, both your son and his 2 friends. It is your claim that Mr. Stark negligently damaged the jet ski that he was riding, and you want him to pay for its repair. That's what your case is about.
Yes.
Mr. Stark says he did whatever he could to avoid an accident, that it was a camping trip, that both you and your family permitted alcohol use by not only your son, but the 2 boys that came as your guests, that everybody was a little bit happy riding the jet skis, and that the accident was not his fault, but the fault of either the other boy, your son, somebody else on a jet ski. That's your defense.
Yes.
So first tell me, when was it that you took this camping weekend?
I believe June 23rd of this year.
How many people went?
Maybe about 20 family members. Cameron brought a total of 3 friends.
You're Cameron. How old is Cameron?
18.
How old are you?
18.
And the other friends, all 18?
I believe they were all 18.
Who else went?
There was Devin and Michael.
You said there were 20 people.
There was my sister's family. So I have my nieces there. I have another group of friends, too. There are about 4 of them.
Did you have a cabin or you were outdoor camping?
Outdoor camping, but in motorhomes. And the boys had their own motorhome, so they were not under my control. And that is why when I gave the speech originally about the years old, I'm not here to babysit you. I can't have anything, and I'm not stupid. And I did find out they brought alcohol, but I wasn't going to ruin my trip about it. But I did tell them there's no riding the jet skis, except if it's 6 in the morning and I'm still asleep, you can go ahead and do a cruise on the jet skis. But other than that, I have to be there. And the day of the incident, they were on the boat with me for 4 hours, and they were not drinking, because on the boat they can't sneak drinks like that. The boat's not that big. So right when we got in the shore and they got out of the boat, they were not drunk when they jumped on those jet skis.
And
when they came back, I don't know whatever happened on the wreck, because I couldn't see it. But when they came back and they had both gotten wrecked, the way I looked at it, they're 18 years old. Devin borrowed one. He paid for his jet ski. Whether he's arguing whether it was Colin's fault or his own fault, I can't decide that. But they're adults and they borrowed it, and they should bring it back in the condition that I gave it to them.
did you see the accident?
No, I was asleep.
Well, why don't you describe what happened, Mr. Stark?
Well, shortly after we had docked, I guess.
What were you doing out on the boat?
We were just kind of cruising around, drifting, having a good time, and...
Who was on the boat?
It was me, Devin, Cameron, Mr. Coop, his wife.
And how many hours were you out on the boat?
I'd say about 4 is right.
Mm-hmm. Did you drink on the boat?
I didn't personally, and I wouldn't say that the boat was not... I'd say it was just quite big enough for Devin.
Did you drink?
No, ma'am.
And you didn't see Devin drink?
I did see Devin drinking.
When?
Throughout the whole time, I suppose.
On the boat?
Yes.
And Devin is the other young man with whom you had an accident?
Yes.
So if you saw him drinking, why did you get on the jet ski if you saw him getting on a jet ski?
I got on the jet ski originally because I saw him taking off, and I was going to tell him to come back in. I was trying to preserve life and deter disaster.
Oh, no. Oh, give me a break. That's what you tell him, Mr. Stark. You don't get on the jet ski to preserve life. That's baloney. So tell me what happened.
Well, so Devin was the blue guy, obviously. I was the red, and we had just been coming down the river, and a pontoon boat had gone in front of us, and we came around from behind it. And once I got to this side of the river, I stopped and started waiting for him. And as I was just kind of facing the other direction, I just about noticed him when he was right here, coming at me, looking at the boat to see if people were looking at him, to see what he had just done because he was jumping waves.
So just a second. You're the red boat, right?
Yes.
Where's the shore?
About over here.
Is that where you got the jet ski from?
No, we had gotten it from a ways up the river.
A ways up the river?
Yes.
How far? A ways up the river. A mile? A half a mile?
About half a mile.
Get over there. How come it took you that long to preserve life and to get to him to tell him to bring the jet ski back?
Throughout the operation of preserving life, there might have been some recreational activity that took place.
Okay. What happened with the other young man?
Well, afterwards, his mother had paid for it. He had said it wasn't his fault. And that's where I said, well, I can't be the judge of whose fault it was. So I appreciate you stepping up, at least taking care of your jet ski. And then you and Devin will have to work out whose fault it was. That's not my responsibility.
So the jet ski that's blue over there was paid for. The
yes,
repair
Devin
was paid for. Did you speak to his mother?
No, because he's an adult, and I had heard that they really don't want to deal with it, so I just dealt directly with him, and he promised he'll take care of it.
Which he didn't do?
Yes.
Okay. Can I see the...
Those are pictures and those...
By the way, Mr. Coop, you know, you take a big risk when you take 18-year-olds away and give them their own motorhome and say, listen, be good boys and only drive right at 6 o'clock in the morning when I know you're sober. I wouldn't do that.
Well,
I didn't even like to take my own children away when they were 18.
Yeah.
You know, to watch them all the time and try to figure out what they were doing. But inviting 3 others and kids.
Well, that's why I made the rule you have to ask me before you ride them.
It's not only riding the jet ski. I mean, you would be responsible if you are supervising and alcohol is being served. You see, stand up. Move. Who brought the alcohol to the motorhome that your father so graciously provided for you? I want you not to think about the answer. I said, who provided the alcohol to you guys in the motorhome that your father graciously provided for you?
Devin.
And how much alcohol did he bring?
There's only 1 or 2 bottles.
1 or 2 bottles of what?
Vodka.
Of vodka. And what did you mix the vodka with? Look at my eyes.
Cranberry juice?
Favorite of mine. Now, did you tell your father that Devin brought the alcohol?
No.
Why not?
I didn't think he'd want to hear that.
You didn't think he'd want to hear it. You didn't think he'd want you to do it.
Yes.
That fair?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Bill Coop says his son's friend, Colin Stark, is responsible for damaging his jet ski during a camping trip.
Okay. Father was being nice to you, saying we don't want you to be alone, bring some friends, you'll all have a good time. And you were being a what?
Rude.
Jerk.
I agree.
I just wanted to get it out of my system for a minute, Mr. Coop, because he was sitting there and he's got a wise guy look on his face.
He got in big trouble.
What?
He got in big trouble after.
He's got a wise guy look on his face. I can,
Yeah.
So I wanted it for you.
Thank you.
And your life-saving endeavor, Mr. Stark, is going to cost you $985.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As long as you're excused, you may step out.
I really like Colin and Devin. They're good kids. I think it was them arguing over who was at fault.
He brought us on the trip and was letting us have a lot of fun and use his stuff, and we broke him.
They're just reckless.
When the next two people got on the jet skis and started to take off, you could tell they were broke.
I hope we can put it behind us and just go on some more camping trips soon.
I'd love to put it all past us, but I do think the jet skis are going to be off boundaries till everybody's 21.
Don't follow drunk people out on jet skis.
So Miss Henry is your sister. Is your claim that you made a loan to her
Yes.
for a car, the down payment on a car? When you tried to get her to cough up some of the money that she owed you, according to you, she pushed you downstairs and assaulted you. Ms. Thompson says the money was a gift and that you were wearing high heels, you probably tripped, right?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 26.
How old are you?
19.
What do you do?
I'm a full-time college student.
What do you do?
Full-time college student, and I work at a hospital.
Why did you need your 19-year-old sister to give you money for a car?
I didn't need her. It was a gift. It was around the time.
No,
that
just I'm asking you a question.
No, I
Why
didn't
would
need
an
her to.
older
She
sister
offered.
have to rely on a teenage sister to put a down payment on a car?
I wouldn't say that I relied on her. She offered it. And
No,
that's
I'm
it.
asking you a question. Not she offered it. Stop getting the drill in your head of, this is what I'm going to say. She offered it. It was a gift. I didn't have to pay it back. It wasn't a loan. I'm asking you a question. The question is, why would a 26-year-old woman need her teenage sister to put down a down payment on a car for her?
Because I didn't have the money at the time.
Then why did you get a car?
Because I needed one because my other one broke down.
Well, how do people usually get money for a car?
Through themselves, like from me.
Through themselves, right? Through working, not asking their teenage sister for money. So when your car broke down, what did you do?
I came into the house and I was speaking to Kalia. I got a rental car. I didn't come in and I didn't ask her for
Don't tell me
anything.
what you didn't do. I want to know the conversation. What
Okay,
you're trying to do.
This is how it went. I came into the house. I sat down next to Kalia. I said, I got a rental car because my car broke down. She said, okay, how long you had a rental for? I told her I only had it for a week and I needed to get back and forth to work. I liked the car that I had for a rental car, which was a Kia. So she was like, well, why don't we just go to the dealership? I said, I don't have money to go to the dealership and I can't afford a car note. She said, well, I'll give you the money to put down on the car. What, it'll be like $500. I said, yeah. So she was like, call the dealership. She called the dealership and they were talking on the phone. So we drove to the car dealership. So we get in there with the guy. Kalia was all cocky. Oh yeah, I got $6,000 to put down today. So the guy's seeing green signs. But we knew it was we didn't want to stay at that car dealership. So we went to one in Springfield. So when we got up there, the guy said, 500 is not going to be enough. You need more to look like you have good faith because your credit is not that good. So that's when Kalia said, okay, how much more do we need? So that's when the guy said about 2,000. So I was sitting there, I was waiting, I was like, I don't want to do it. But Kalia got up and she went and paid for it. So after that, I had my car.
Okay, now you want to tell me what happened?
Yes. On July, I was in the house sleep. She lives upstairs from us. We have a duplex, and I live downstairs with my mom and my little sister. So she came in, and she was upset. And I said, why are you upset? And she said, because I can't afford the rental for more than a week. And I said, well, how are you going to get back and forth to work? And she said, I don't know. And I was like, well, how much do you have? And she said, I don't have anything. And I said, well, I could loan you $500. And then
Where would you get $500 from?
Oh, well, when I'm home from break, I work at night at Superfresh as a cashier. So I had about $2,000 in savings just from working over breaks.
Why are you laughing?
Because she's lying.
Where'd you get the money from?
Kalia's a liar. I don't know where she got it from,
No,
but
I'm
it's
just
not working at
asking you.
Superfresh. I don't know where she got it from, but she didn't get it from there.
Well, where do you think she got it from?
She has more money than what she said. So she made it seem like she was saving it up for oh so long, whatever.
I'm just asking you, where do you think she gets the money
Who
from?
knows? I don't know what Kalia do, but I'm just saying, I don't believe her.
Does she go
That's
to
just my
school?
opinion. She can get it from school, too.
No, I'm just asking you questions. I said, does she try to pay attention? Maybe move the hair away from your ear so you can hear me.
No, I can't hear out one ear.
My question is, does she go to school?
She does.
Full time?
Mm-hmm.
Is not an answer in
Yes.
court. Perfect. Got it.
So I agreed to lend her the $500. We drove to the first Kia dealership, but I could tell, like, the salesman, like, they were just trying to make a sell. So I said, you know what? Let's drive to Springfield. So we get to Springfield. It's a really good dealership. They tell us they have a used car, I think 9,000 miles for 11,000 maybe. And he said, you know, I would sell my daughter this car. It's really reliable. Somebody only had it for like 8 months before they traded it in. So I said, okay. So we were thinking we still only had to put down $500. But he had told me over the phone, if her credit is bad, she won't be approved at all. So I always had in the back of my mind, she may not get approved. So he ran her credit, and he said, you know, Capital One said they'll finance your car, but you have to put down $2,000. So she looked at me, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, $2,000, like that literally would leave me with $0 in my savings account. And I was still working every week, but I would be living paycheck to paycheck. So she said to me, well, if I sell my old car, the one that broke down, if I turn it in and they junk it at the junkyard, I'll get $400. And she said, and then my school owes me a refund check of $500, and I'll give you $300 of that, but I need the other $200 for when I change my insurance companies. So that'll be $700 that I can give you within the next couple of weeks. Okay. So I said, okay, you'll give me $700, you'll only owe me $1,300. And she said, I'll give you that other $1,300 by September the 10th, because she had just started working full-time, so her paychecks would be more money.
Fine, so that's how it came about.
Yeah.
She was going to give you the $700 and another $1,300 by September
yeah.
because she said started to work.
Yeah.
Where are you working full-time?
It's at a hospital, Riddle Memorial.
And what are you doing there?
A unit clerk.
What's your salary there?
I make $14.50 an hour, plus shift differential.
Okay, fine. Did she give you back any money?
She gave me $200 after a couple weeks went bad, and she never gave me any money. So I had to text her, and because she was going out shopping, buying CDs, and I said, "Can you?"
So she gave you back.
She gave me a $200 money order, and I deposited the money order, and then I spent the $200 because I didn't have any money at all except my paychecks from Superfresh. And a couple days later, my bank took $200 back out of my account, and I called and I said, why did you guys take $200 out? And they said, well, the money order that you gave us, Western Union sent it back. They said it was already cashed. And I said, no, I never cashed it. I took it to a teller, and they deposited it. And they said, you need to call Western Union. So we called Western Union on three-way, PNC Bank, and they said, yeah, it was already cashed. The day that you deposited the money order, it was already cashed. So when PNC tried to get the money from us, we had to return the item.
From a check cashing place around our way in Philly. Like, that's not my fault. I bought a blank, I actually sent my boyfriend to get a blank money order for $200 because she harassed me.
Wait a minute. There you go. You sent the boyfriend to get the money order.
But it was a blank money order.
So far you owe her $2,000. You still have the same boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Kalia Thompson says her sister, Dania Henry, borrowed money to buy a car and never paid her back. Kalia says when she asked for repayment, Dania pushed her down the stairs.
Okay. Now you want to tell me about the assault?
Okay, so after they told me that the money order was returned, then they charged me an additional return fee, and I didn't have the money to pay that. So I knocked on her door, and, you know, we usually do go up her house a lot. So I opened the door, and I walked to the top of the steps, and I said, hey, the money order you gave me, they said it's already been cashed. And she came out, whatever, don't come in my house like this. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't come up my steps. And I said, no, you gave me a $200 money order, and I spent that money, and now they just took $200 back. I don't have anything in my account to cover that. And she's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. You better get out of my house. And I said, no, I'm going to call the cops. You're going to I'm going to show them the money order that they sent in the mail that is returned. So she pushed me, and when she pushed me, I was at the top of the steps, and I fell back. And when I fell back, I fell down the steps, and I sprained my ankle, twisted my ankle.
You have a medical bill?
No, I don't have health insurance, so I didn't go.
So what'd you do?
I just wrapped it up, and I just called out for a couple of days and took over-the-counter medicine. But I have a picture, and I have a pay stub.
I'd like to see a picture. What happened when she came back to your house to tell you about the $200?
When she came up the steps.
Let me finish my question. What happened when she came to your house to tell you about the money order?
Okay, she came up the steps. I was in the room asleep. So I'm hollering about the money order. So I come out the room door, and she's standing at the top of the steps. Mind you, she's about to go out to a party, so she already had on high heels and a dress. So she's standing in front of me, so she's real hype. And I'm like, calm down, what are you talking about? She said, the money order that you gave me, it was already cashed, this, that, and other. I said, how can a blank money order be already cashed if I put your name on it and I signed it? She said, well, I need my money, this, that, and the other. You better give me my money. So she lunged forward, but when she went to go lunge forward, her foot went back. She fell down the steps on her own. I'm grown. I don't got time to be pushing this little girl down the steps. I have no reason to. I may not like my sister, but I love her. I'm not going to push her down the steps. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to do that.
Like her. What'd you take money from her for?
If you offer me money, I would take it from you too.
Sadly, I know that that's true. You going to school part-time?
I go to school full-time.
And what does the boyfriend do?
He's in college and he works full-time.
Does he live with you?
Yes.
Does he pay rent?
Yes.
To whom?
To my landlord.
Sometimes.
Not sometimes.
Sometimes.
We go partial every month. We split it half and half. She don't like my boyfriend, so she'll say anything to make him look bad on
And
TV.
he probably stole the $200.
He gave her a blank money order.
No, the money order was not blank. I have a copy.
It's out to her. If you see her name with my signature on the bottom. So how can it be cash when her name is on it?
And the first page shows the day it was returned.
Well, the bank says it was already cashed.
I don't know how it's possible.
You had no medical bill? Is that correct?
No, I just had my pay stub to show that week I had to call out because I stand on my feet and I couldn't.
And how many days did you call out sick?
4 or 5 days.
You owe your sister the $2,000. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
What is your excuse? You may step out.
I don't believe it was fair. She gave it to me as a gift.
I'm very pleased with the decision.
I don't believe I should have had to pay her anything.
It was always a loan.
Why would I push her down the steps? I don't like her, but I love her. She's my sister. I'm not going to push her down the steps.
Well, we never really got along, so it hasn't really changed.
Well, it's kind of like everybody blames me for everything, but I don't care.
Don't let people borrow money anymore.
You may be seated.
Ms. Radke, the defendant is your daughter. Your lawsuit has two parts to it. One, you claim that she filed false charges against you, which caused you to be arrested and removed from your home, at least for a period of time. And the second involves vandalism to your property. Your daughter's defense is that you did, in fact, assault her daughter, who is 8. Mm-hmm. So she had every reason to call the police and have you taken out of the home. She did not vandalize the home, and she has a countersuit for the assault that you allegedly perpetrated on your granddaughter. So I'm going to start with you. First, tell me how old you are.
I'm 30.
Now, you and your mother were not living together. You were living, I assume, alone with your daughter, based upon what I read. Something caused you to move into your mother's home. Tell me what that was and when it was.
Okay. It was really the combination of several things. I had been living in the Dallas area.
Fast.
Yes, ma'am.
You needed a place to live?
Yes, I needed a place to stay.
Okay. And when did you need a place to stay?
March of 2012.
You've been living in Texas?
Correct.
Where does your mother live?
In Maryland.
How did you get from Texas to Maryland?
I drove. I sold everything that I had or left it and whatever I could fit in my car with my daughter. We took and it was also in addition, she hadn't seen her granddaughter in 2 years. And that's part of the reason why she wanted us to go there to have that relationship.
Oh, that's nice. But basically, you needed a home.
Correct.
And what was the arrangement with your mother when I assume you called her and said, or she found out some way? How did you find out that your daughter was becoming homeless?
On February 21st, she called me and told me that CPS was there to take her daughter because her house was deemed unlivable.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
And for what reason was your house deemed unlivable?
I had basically been going through a lot, just it being just my daughter and myself, and things had just gotten out of control where I wasn't really able to handle everything. And then they had came, I cleaned it up, and my daughter was back inside the home. But there was issues with the apartment complex saying once they realized that it was dirty that they wanted us out.
I paid a cleaning crew to go. Okay.
Don't make things worse.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get to the basics.
Okay.
So it was nice that your mother said, I would like to have a relationship with my daughter, but you had to get out of Dodge.
Correct.
Okay. So your mother took you and her granddaughter in, and that was in March of 2012. Now, on what date did the police respond regarding this alleged incident that caused you to be removed from your home?
On the evening of August 17th.
Okay. Now, I want you then to tell me what happened on August 17th that precipitated the police coming to your home.
About a month earlier, there had been an incident where there was lots of verbal abuse going on.
Verbal abuse between whom?
Between my mom and me, and my mom and my daughter especially.
Then my question becomes, why didn't you leave?
Really, whenever we first moved there, whenever there was an incident, there was some verbal abuse. She was very apologetic. She was really, committed to saying that she wanted our relationship to work and wanted to have Taylor close with her. So, it was for about 3 months that things really escalated with her. And I guess she just decided that she didn't want us there anymore and started saying, that she hated my daughter, that she wanted us out.
August 17th. Let's get to it.
Okay. August 17th, there had been an incident where she hit my daughter in the head with the door. I told her, after that, you need to stay away from...
Just a second. Ms. Radke, I want you to understand that when you say to me she hit your daughter in the head with a door, you have to explain that to me.
Okay. I didn't see the incident. All I know is that I was on the second floor. It's a townhome that we were living in. I was on the second floor where my daughter and my room is, and then she has the third floor is the master suite where her room is. She was coming up the stairs. As she passed my room, she said something, hateful. I don't remember exactly.
No, I want you to think about what it was.
Honestly, I don't remember. It was something to do, I really don't remember. I didn't even pay attention to it. I had just learned to just disregard, let her go on upstairs and leave it alone. My daughter followed her up the stairs to say, stop saying mean things to my mommy. And my daughter says that she slammed the door repeatedly, hit her in the head, hit her in the knee, and said, GD, leave me alone. When my daughter came back downstairs, I was like, what the your head? What happened? My mom says that
Just
she
a second.
Okay.
I assume that there's a police report, and I assume you have the police report. Does the police report indicate any marks on the child whatsoever?
I have a photo. I didn't file a police report that night.
Why not? I mean, when did you decide to file a police report?
At that night, I told her, I was like, listen, this stops. No more contact with my daughter. No more saying things to mean to her. No, nothing. If you do it again, then I'm going to have to file charges on this.
Why didn't you just leave?
I have nowhere to go.
Well, that's your problem. You're a guest in your mother's home. You're 30 years old. You have an 8-year-old child. She took you in, and if things weren't working out, say, Mom, it's not working out here. I'm going to get a job so I can pay rent, take care of my child, and I don't have to live with you because we don't get along.
I have documentation where I was applying for jobs, and she
I don't care applying for jobs. Were you working in Texas?
No, I was a full-time student.
You're too old to be a full-time student with an 8-year-old to support. You are a part-time student and a part-time worker. But I'm telling you right now, if my 30-year-old daughter came to my house and my daughter, who has children, thought I was being abusive to my grandchildren, I would think that they were idiots if they didn't move.
I had plans on it.
Go to a shelter.
That's where we're at now.
Just a second. Why did you have to wait?
There's a 30-day waiting list.
You said that this nastiness started within 3 months. So why didn't you get out before?
Initially, I thought that things would get better. She was promising. I have texts and emails from her apologizing and saying to be patient with her. I thought that things would get better. And
I'd like to see all of those emails.
I have this one where I'm trying to talk to her. This is also the one where she says that she gives me...
No, I can read.
Okay.
Have any emails you want me to read, Mrs. Rathke?
Yeah, actually, what I have here is a full year of text with some tabs on here so that none of it's edited, so you can peruse at your leisure and read what you'd like.
I don't have a lot of leisure, but I'd like to see them.
Right. And then I have the email thread where I gave her formal notice to vacate.
Just a minute, I just want to look at the emails.
January.
Well, what I'm reading is that the problem was that you were keeping the floors that you and your daughter were living on, in your mother's view, like a pigsty.
It's not true.
I'm reading what you say to her. You say to her, okay, so the trash from the 2 bedrooms, the utility room, and the bathroom need to be taken outside daily, or whatever. So that seemed to have been an issue, and that was an issue in Texas. Serious enough in Texas that they were going to take your child away. Serious enough in Texas so that the apartment complex where you were living was moving to get rid of you. So clearly you have a problem that you have to address. So it seems to me that that was, based upon this long email from your mother, it seems to me that that had become a real bone of contention between the two of you. You were living like a pig and she didn't want her house to become a pig pen.
It's not true.
All I'm saying to you, the same problem that you seem to have had in Texas followed you to Maryland. And whether rightly or, in your view, inappropriately, your mother reacted to the way you were living. So what happens is a 30-year-old woman who has a child who's having a problem with her mother about her lifestyle doesn't overstay their welcome and leaves. And your response to me was, I thought it was going to get better or I had no place to go, is not really a reason. Now, I want you to tell me what caused the police to take your mother away and when.
Whenever I filed the protective order.
I want you to tell me when you filed the protective order.
It was effective until the 27th, so the week before that.
No, I want you to tell me when you filed it. It has a date on it.
8/20.
I want you to tell me what happened between the 17th, when this incident happened, where she allegedly slammed the door on your daughter, and the 20th. I want you to tell me what happened.
She called my daughter upstairs into her room on the 3rd floor to tell her that I wanted her dead so I could have her insurance money. My dad, who committed suicide, I wanted him dead too for his insurance money. My daughter didn't even know that my dad had committed suicide. She told this to an 8-year-old. That was it. Enough verbal abuse, mental injury.
Just a second. So why didn't you leave?
I did. I got the protective order.
What did you need a protective order to leave for?
So I had time to pack up my stuff without her hurting me or my child. I packed up my stuff and I was out on the 27th.
Just a second.
That's what the protective order's for.
No! That's not what a protective order is for. A protective order is not to give a reluctant guest, because you're not even a tenant, because you didn't pay rent.
Oh, I paid rent. I washed her drawers. I did her pedicures. I did everything for her.
You didn't pay rent.
She didn't ask me to. She actually told me not to whenever I offered.
Listen to me. A protective order is not designed to allow you, whether you're a tenant or a no longer welcome guest, time to pack your things and get out. That's not what a protective order is for. This is her home, and you had no right to be there. She invited you.
Residency.
She uninvited
I had
you.
Residency.
And
that's why she couldn't put me out without 30 days notice.
Oh, so it's always interesting to me that people like yourself who don't work, sponge off other people, know all their rights. They know that they have 30 days to get out. They know that you have to give them notice in writing. They know enough that they are a resident, not just a kid that comes home because they have no place to go. They have a residence there, so you can't put them out. It used to always amaze me when I sat in family court and heard some of these very smart people, like you are, because you're a smart young woman, if they sort of tunneled all that energy and all that intelligence into a productive life, something positive, they wouldn't have to rely on other people. You wouldn't have to live with your mother. You wouldn't have to work out with CPS. You wouldn't have to get out of your apartment complex. You wouldn't have all this trouble. You wouldn't have to be in a shelter. You know all your rights. Now it's time to work hard. Start doing anything. Flip burgers, wash dishes, wait tables, be a cashier. Start a life. Now, I finished with her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Vandalized her home, stole her belongings, and filed a false restraining order against her. Callie is countersuing, claiming Teresa assaulted her daughter.
What happened with your daughter?
Starting when?
Well, let's start around August 17th, because now I've sort of gotten the picture. But even if you were as abusive as she says you were, the job is for her to move and not to have you arrested so she has a week to pack her things.
She wasn't arrested.
Just a second. According to you, you told me that you left Texas, got rid of everything, just loaded your stuff in the car with your daughter and drove to Maryland. If you have a car and all of your belongings fit in the car when you got there, and she wasn't working from the time she got there, from March until August until the time she left, that means she had no money to acquire anything else, which means that the property that she had could fit right back in the car, that you can pack.
The car was in her name and she traded it in, even though I put $6,000 down on it. So I didn't have a car whenever it was time for us to leave.
I traded the car in the day after I was put out. I had to trade both the cars in and get a much older car that I could afford the payments on.
I'm not complaining, I'm just saying I didn't have a car.
So prior to that, she could have gotten in the car.
Just a second. How did you pack to move into a shelter?
A friend of mine came and helped me put some stuff in storage, and I had a suitcase.
What storage? You moved in a car, you told me 10 minutes ago.
No, whenever I moved to Maryland, I moved in a car. Whenever we left, I put some of the stuff in storage, and I went to a homeless shelter.
Listen to me. You told me when you came to your mother from Texas, you sold all your property, got rid of it all, loaded your daughter and your stuff in your car, and drove.
How much of that?
Now, don't speak. So I don't understand what was in storage.
No. Whenever I left her house.
I understand that.
I put stuff in storage.
She had no basis to file for a protective order.
None.
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 Yes.
That's based upon what she tells me. Because nothing happened between the 17th and the 20th except that she wanted time to get out. So she went and she filed for a protective order. That's not what courts or the police are around to do.
To a child is why I filed it.
Listen to me very carefully. A move to your daughter between the 17th and the 20th, except you decided that you wanted to move.
It's okay to tell your grandchild that your daughter wants you dead?
Move!
What I did.
That's right. The protective order.
And she didn't do any more damage to my daughter while I did it either.
Oh, you know, I want to tell you something. I think that what you should do is get a job, and the first thing that you should do when you get a job is get a good therapist.
I have one of those as well.
Well, you would need it. But don't get one that agrees with you. Get one that's going to tell you like I'm telling you the truth. Explore whatever it was that has made you this angry young lady.
Are you a therapist?
No, you are angry. I know what makes me angry.
Yeah.
You make me angry. 30-year-old women and their adult mothers very often don't get along. Then what you do is move. You don't have your mother arrested and removed from the house.
She wasn't arrested.
And removed from the house. Well, she was removed from the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you want to pack and move. That's outrageous conduct for which she's going to be compensated. Just show me the pictures of what the house looked like when you came home. Because that's the second part of your lawsuit.
That's one hole that I didn't, but there.
Are you out of that apartment now?
No, ma'am. I intend to stay for a while.
You're going to stay?
Yes.
Did you get a bill from the landlord with regard to the holes in the wall?
I actually have it on my cell phone. She's going to have to scroll it around.
Either of you have animals?
$300.
Either of you have animals?
She got a dog for my granddaughter.
We had a dog, yes.
I mean, for my daughter.
Did you take the dog when you left?
No.
You left the dog there?
Yes.
She actually locked the dog in my room for the 9 days with food and water, and then left me a note saying, aren't you glad you didn't take the dog to the pound when I told you to?
When I asked you to.
You have that note?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. How long were you out of the house? 9 days?
I was out of the house 9 days, almost 10.
And that was during the period of the temporary restraining order, which was ultimately dismissed. Is that right?
Only because I didn't make it to court.
Dismissed!
Oh, here. This is the note that was on my laptop in my bedroom when I got in.
Nasty lady.
This is a note that I found 2 days after the restraining order was in place that she came in the house and left on my bedroom door. And shh.
Well, she's gone, and I have a feeling that until she gets some serious work, if ever, things are not going to change. Judgment for the plaintiff, $5,000. And that's primarily due to the cleanup that you had to do, but mostly for the filing of the restraining order, which I believe was punitive and just vindictive and not meant to protect anybody, just meant to give her an opportunity to leave the house like a pigsty and to get out. Now, you want money for moving expenses. That's not happening.
Not moving expenses.
Well, that's what it says here. Money owed for moving expenses plus punitive damages for assault, and that's the assault to your daughter. I'd like to see the medical records for your daughter.
I don't have medical records.
You don't have medical records because they don't exist?
No. She's signed up for therapy.
My question is...
No, the injury to the head didn't require medical attention.
Right. Okay. That's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff, $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused, may step out.
She's crazy.
This is probably the most horrible experience of my life.
Telling an 8-year-old that you hate her.
And I didn't come here to attack my daughter.
That you hope her dog gets run over by a car.
I came here to have her held accountable.
Who says that to their grandchild?
Somebody finally told her.
She put me and my daughter in a homeless shelter.
You're wrong.
Because she's crazy.
And just thank God for Judge...
Some time ago, looks as if almost 4 years ago, you got a dog from Miss Harris.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you purchase the dog from her?
I did not.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding your getting the dog from Miss Harris.
It's a normal thing. I've been trained dogs. Okay.
Tell me.
I showed up at the dog show. I was approached by another judge. Introduced me to Harris.
When was that?
This was in 2007. And I was asked what I thought about the litter, in particular a dog.
So you looked at a litter of puppies that Miss Harris had?
Right. I was then introduced to Miss Harris.
Great. What kind of a dog?
It's American Pit Bull.
Now, you did not pay her for the dog?
No, I did not. People approach me to take on their dog. If they can't afford my fees, then they do a co-own with me, which means she has breeding rights and I have breeding rights and get to raise this dog.
Did you ever breed the dog that you gave to him?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever breed the dog?
No, ma'am.
So far, she's not getting anything out of it.
No, she got something.
What did she get?
She got me representing the dog and showing the dog and promoting the dog. That has her kennel name attached to it. She got something out of it.
Well, did you show him in 100 shows?
Not 100. Didn't take 100.
Did you show him in 10 shows?
Absolutely. More.
Okay. Did he win anything?
Absolutely. He's a grand champion.
Okay. So he became a grand champion from her kennel. You have something to show me that happened.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Okay.
All I want to see is this dog. What was the dog's name?
Adonis.
Adonis. With a it's a red ribbon that they get as
no,
grand
I don't have
champion?
anything like that, no.
I mean, I have never shown a dog, but I have been to dog shows, and I know that when you show a dog and it reaches grand champion, you have a certificate, you have a picture, you have something that says that this dog in this particular show, in this particular breed, was awarded the grand championship in that breed for that show. All I'm asking you is for any proof of that, sir. And if you have none, say I have none.
I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, you don't. So that's the answer. Okay, so there was no consideration flowing to her from this arrangement so far in 5 years. Now, this is what your case is about. At some point, you could no longer keep the dog because you had to move or something, uncross your arms. You called on Miss Harris. She came down at her own expense, took the dog. According to you, a month later, you called to get the dog back, and she had already replaced the dog. You want either the dog or you want compensation to the tune of $5,000. That's not what happened.
No, it's not what happened.
Okay, great. Then you tell me what happened. I read your complaint. That's what you say happened.
I was living in a house. I got a 12-day notice to vacate.
Fine. Well, that's what you could no longer keep the dog.
No. I called her to store the dog because she does have ownership of him, too, to protect anything that may happen to him. Okay?
Give me the date, Mr. Garcia.
It was August 20th.
A year ago.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I called her that Tuesday in tears, crying because I didn't know what I was going to do.
Just tell me what you asked her to do.
I told her to store Adonis there if she had room.
Great.
Okay?
And?
She told me that she doesn't. She's at her limit, but she will hold on to him as long as she could.
Okay, and?
Okay? So I called her the next day when she came to pick him up.
Now, she came to pick him up at whose expense?
It was at hers.
And?
And I told her again that I'm coming for my dog.
Great. That was in August.
That was August 30th when she came to pick him up.
When did you call her for the dog?
36 days later.
And 36 days later, she told you...
I was too late.
And she had told you before, when you called her, according to you, Mr. Garcia, that she could not store your dog. She would keep him as long as she could.
Absolutely.
Now, so tell me the rest of your story, sir, because now what you want is the dog. After a year, she's already replaced the dog or $5,000. Keep going.
Okay. When I called her, then she told me that she no longer has a dog, that she placed him. Well, there's words of placing and permanent placing. So I made it very clear, what are you talking about? And did you permanently place him? She said, yes. And I said, you broke my heart, and I couldn't talk to her anymore. I hung up. I started searching for my dog. It wasn't until January someone came up and sent me the information where he was.
Mr. Garcia, I read your papers. You say you trained this dog for 4 years to be a service dog. That wasn't your agreement with Ms. Harris. Your agreement with Ms. Harris was going to be co-owners of this dog. According to you, I haven't heard from her yet, that you were going to have co-breeding rights and that you were going to show this dog to Champion, and that that's what the agreement was, which is why she gave you the dog for nothing. And so the fact that you trained this dog to be your own service dog is totally irrelevant to me, totally irrelevant to this case, because that was your arrangement, according to you, with Ms. Harris. With Ms. Harris, your arrangement was you were going to be co-owners, you were going to show her dog, which was going to inure to her benefit as the owner of the kennel. That's what you told me. So I don't care whether you trained this dog to fly hoops or whether you trained this dog to be a constant companion. It has nothing to do with the case. The only thing that has to do with the case is whether or not she was within her rights to place the dog based upon the conversation that the two of you had. That be a fair statement?
Yes.
Great. Now I'll hear from you. Go.
On August 19th, Mr. Garcia called me and told me that he had gotten a notice to be evicted, that he was going to be homeless, and that he knew he was going to have to relinquish Adonis to me per our contract.
Did you have a written contract?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. By the way, Mr. Garcia, how many other dogs did you have when you got your eviction notice?
Two other a Chihuahua and another staff.
So you had another pit bull and a Chihuahua.
Right.
Are those dogs with you now?
Yes, they are, ma'am.
What did you do with those two dogs?
They were stood in a rescue place that was offered to me.
You put them in a rescue place?
Yes, temporarily.
And when did you get them back?
Immediately, because I stood in there.
When did you get them back? And the name of the place?
Well, I don't have the name of the place, Your Honor.
You don't have the name of the place, the rescue place that was helping you out?
Right, I do have her number, though.
I'd like it.
Okay, oh, did I bring it? That's what I didn't bring, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I should have mentioned it.
Okay.
But...
Don't say anything else, Mr. Garcia. Okay, so what he was supposed to do is, pursuant to this contract, he was required to buy that's you, acknowledges that the puppy is being purchased on a show contract and agrees to show the puppy at no fewer than 16 licensed UKC shows, not weekends, a year. And you have proof that you did that?
Yeah, he's titled out.
No, I would just like to see proof that you did that.
I don't have that anymore. Because he's titled out a year and a half ago, when he was a year and a half.
Well, this is your contract, sir. I just want to know what the consideration was for the contract.
So I lived up to the agreement.
I don't know that. How do I know that?
He's a grand champion.
How do I know that?
I have a document that says grand champion Kelly Girls Adonis.
Well, I'd like to see what you have.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your Facebook page, is that right?
It is.
Just a second. This is your Facebook. So you wrote this.
I didn't write that, no.
You need something from, don't you get something from the AKC or whatever it is?
And she has
something
everything.
has reached a grand champion?
Yes,
Has this dog reached grand champion?
Yes, it has.
Okay, can I see that? Do you have that?
I don't have proof of that. However, in his new registration to his new owner, Mr. Leonard, it does have the grand champion in front of his name, indicating that he did obtain his grand champion title.
Okay. So you called back Mr. Garcia about a month later, and you had placed the puppy with someone else when?
Mr. Garcia's dates are incorrect, so I'd like to correct those if I may. I picked up Adonis August 27th. I have vet records indicating on the 29th in Sacramento. I took him to the vet for vaccinations because Mr. Garcia did not provide those to me.
Just a second. Did you ask Ms. Harris, Mr. Garcia, for his vaccination records?
Not. He had a pile of paperwork that he had prepared for me, And it was a 15-hour round-trip drive. I did not go through it at that time other than to offer him a pen to release his ownership on the registration papers.
Did he sign that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. So you relinquished the dog to her?
No.
Well, that's what this says.
That's a standard practice, to let go. So therefore, when I come for my dog, she just returns the paperwork. That's an honest person who does that. Your Honor, I have it even in here. Here's another contract that says that very same thing. You got to pre-sign. Okay, so when she asked me for it, I didn't hesitate, but I did tell her that I'm coming back for him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Dog trainer Michael Garcia says dog breeder Rebecca Harris won't return a pit bull named Adonis. Rebecca claims Michael signed the rights to Adonis over to her.
Okay, how many dogs do you have now?
Huh.
How many dogs do you have now?
I have one. I have a Chihuahua.
Just a second. Well, Mr. Garcia, you see, I don't believe anything that you said to me because a moment ago you said to me you had two.
Right.
What happened to the pit bull that you said you had a moment ago?
Okay, that one's over at a friend's house right now. Okay, he's going to be living there.
Mr. Garcia, I can't help you, sir.
Oh, my God.
I can't help you. You have one dog, two dogs. This dog you don't have. This dog for the last year has been in another home.
And I've been looking for him.
Well, you know where you weren't looking, Mr. Garcia? You weren't
I did
looking
speak with
at,
Mr.
you
Leonard.
weren't looking in the courthouse, sir. You knew how to come to a courthouse a year later.
I have medical records. I have doctor's appointments. I have cancer thing. I have everything I have to do. I didn't know it was going to be this quick.
Well, it's
you know,
this quick,
I didn't
sir.
know this.
It's this quick, and it's over.
And it's
goodbye. Your
oh
case
my
is
God.
dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Wow. He's my boy, you know, and she just gave him away.
Judge Judy actually could recognize that it was the best interest of the dog that I had at heart.
She served it for money.
It's not about money.
Not everybody's ethical.
He released his ownership of because he could not care for the dog.
Be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Mr. Reed, the defendant is your daughter's boyfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
Current boyfriend?
On again, off again, Your Honor.
Is your daughter in the courtroom?
She is, Your Honor.
And that would be her?
Yes.
Okay. It is your claim that Mr. Williams stole property from you, and that property is a gun?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you want to be compensated or you want the return of that gun? Mr. Williams said he had nothing to do with taking your gun. He never had it in his possession. He's not guilty. So the ball is in your court, sir. What proof do you have that Mr. Williams took your gun?
Okay. I was letting Mr. Williams live in my home, and he had trashed my garage over a period of about 1 month.
What do you mean he trashed your garage?
Well, he had garbage all over the place. He destroyed some doors.
How did he destroy the doors?
Disrespect and neglect.
Well, just tell me, how did he do that? How did he destroy a door?
One of the doors wouldn't secure. It wouldn't close. Because of the way that he lived in my garage, I asked him to leave my home.
So he was living in your garage?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you asked him to leave, and?
And then my daughter had a car accident, and she had no way to get to work. My wife was going to Chicago for the holidays. I allowed him to come back to my home for the period of 1 week because he wanted to make amends. And after he did that, I said he could stay in my home to take my daughter to and from work while her vehicle was being repaired.
Okay.
I came home from work unexpectedly one evening, and I discovered that my handgun was stolen. There was no sign of forcible entry into my home. There was no one else that could have done it.
Just a second. First of all, the fact that there's no forcible entry doesn't mean that someone didn't get into your home, that someone didn't leave a door open and someone came into the home. How many other people were in the home at that time?
Just my daughter and Mr. Williams, Your Honor.
Well, what makes you think your daughter didn't take the gun?
My daughter wouldn't do that, Your Honor.
Well, you see, that comes from here. That doesn't come from information.
I called the police and I filed a police report and reported the handgun stolen. And I asked Mr. Williams if he would be willing to take a polygraph test because I felt that it was probably him. Mr. Williams agreed to take a polygraph test, and we spent the better part of a day doing so. I paid for it at my own expense. And Mr. Williams failed the polygraph test 4 times. And I also have a DVD of him changing his story several times. And it's imperative that you view this DVD, Your Honor.
Changing his story in what regard, sir?
He came up with about 4 different...
Tell me.
4 different...
Tell me.
Well, he said that it could have been a kid named Blake.
What else?
He also said that I probably stole my own gun.
Just a second. So that's another thing that he said. Maybe it was you that took your own gun. What else?
He also stated that my wife stole my gun.
Did he say your wife stole your gun or your wife could have stole your gun?
He said my wife could have stole my gun.
That's a different story. Your wife could have taken it. He was giving you alternatives to him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's not changing his story. That's just saying, why are you blaming me? It could have been this kid Blake, who was in the house. It could have been you who took your own gun. It could have been your wife who took the gun. I'm saying it could have been your daughter that took the gun. That's not changing his story. That's just giving you, Mr. Reed, alternatives to pointing a finger at him.
I understand that.
And polygraph tests are not admissible.
I understand that.
Under any theory, they have not proven to be sufficiently reliable to be admissible in any court.
He also told my daughter 2 days after the gun was stolen out of the clear blue sky, I know this guy named, do you know what he does for a living? And my daughter said, no, I have no idea. And he said he takes stolen guns, he buys them, and he ships them to Iowa for profit.
Okay. Well, let's ask your daughter that question. Stand up. What's your first name?
Laura.
Laura, your father says you had a conversation with him about the gun?
Yes.
When?
It was about a couple days after it was taken.
Tell me the context that you had this conversation with your father.
It was actually with my mother. My father was at work at the time, and I had heard the story from Cody. And
What
told
story?
The story that he went and sold guns over Iowa for his own profit.
Who? But I thought you were there and spoke to Cedric yourself.
It was not that day. I had heard it a couple days afterwards from Cody.
So you never spoke to Cedric yourself?
Not about that, no.
Okay. So then you had a conversation with your mother?
Yes, because I had heard from Cody that he had done that on the side.
And tell me about the conversation with your mother.
I told her that, you know, the other day we were sitting up at the tattoo shop just having a normal conversation, and then a couple days later I had found out he had been selling guns on the side for his own profit, but nothing to do with, you know, ours, because I didn't know at the time.
And what did your mother say to you?
She said that she wanted to have a talk with Cody and have him call Cedric himself right in front of her.
And did he?
Yes.
So in front of you, Cody called this Cedric?
Yes, I demanded it because I said, you know, if you have nothing to do with it, can you please call him
in front of you?
In front of me.
And he did that?
Yes.
And you heard his half of the conversation?
Yes.
And what was it?
That I'm sitting here with Laura's mom, and she wanted to know if you had taken it or knew anything about it. And that's what he had told Cedric. But I didn't hear what's on the other side because he didn't put it on speaker so I could hear. It was just what he had told him, and that's it.
When he hung up, did he tell you what Cedric had told him?
He said that he had no clue. And he said he told that he would make sure that he looks for my gun because he knows people, that he goes to people's house, steals the guns, and he's going to ask people around if they would come up with my gun, if they were going to come up with the gun. So he was asking if he would talk to other people in the group that does sell the guns, and that's what...
Was your gun in a lockbox?
My gun was kept in the nightstand drawer on my side.
Was your gun in a lockbox?
No, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Reed, I don't know who took your gun, but you don't have enough evidence to suggest that Mr. Williams was the perpetrator.
Can you view the videotape,
Please.
Your Honor?
That says what?
That it shows...
This is the videotape of the polygraph.
No. If what you are suggesting on there is that he tried to suggest to you other alleged perpetrators, who they might be, that's not changing his story. I've explained that to you. It's not sufficient in a court to suggest that he was one of a couple of people, one of whom you know would never steal property from you. It's your daughter. I don't know that. You may feel that, but that feeling is not evidence in a court. He didn't have exclusive possession of that property. They were both there. And maybe other people too. Maybe he had friends. Maybe he went to Chicago and they had a party. All possible. And if you're leaving, Mr. Reed, and you're leaving a couple of young people in your house, I'm going to suggest to you that wisdom would suggest that you remove a gun from your nightstand and put it in a safe place, like a safe or a vault or a lockbox or something, but not leave a weapon out. That's a problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Eric Reed says his daughter's boyfriend, Cody Williams, stole a gun from his home. He is suing for its value and the cost of a polygraph test.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, I read your case, and it sounded to me exactly as it was when you testified today, that while you have your suspicions, you don't have sufficient proof to establish that Mr. Williams took your property.
Your Honor, on the videotape, you can see Mr. Williams fidgeting. He's nervous. He continually keeps swallowing.
You don't have evidence. First of all, polygraph test can't be admitted with a tape. It has to be admitted, if at all, in a civil trial. If both sides consent, it could be admitted if there's a polygraph as to what the polygraph says, what the conditions were in it. You can't just introduce a tape and says, I want you to watch him swallow, and I want you to watch how nervous he is, and that's sufficient for me to label him a thief. He may be. Yeah. You don't have proof that he stole your property.
I understand what you're saying, Your
Good,
Honor.
then I'm glad you understand. What?
I'm his dad. I'd just like to say one thing.
Go ahead.
Hell, you can stay up here. I like Laura. She's okay. There's a whole pretense to this that's not coming out. They keep on wanting to talk about the tape. But on the tape, it says, Cody, did you steal the gun? A flat line that says no. I know you don't want to hear that. I'm sorry, Judge. I just want to bring this up. There's a lot of things that will take up most of your day on the stories that go on. A lot of things.
Listen to me. There are other television programs that would welcome that kind of backstory.
I understand.
This is not one of them.
I understand.
This is a very easy case. He thinks that your son stole his property. He doesn't have proof that your son stole his property.
Exactly.
That's not what we do in a court. In a court, you have proof.
I know you
have
deal with just
evidence.
facts.
You have evidence, and if you don't have evidence, you can take your thoughts or your love or your other emotions and you take them someplace else, because in this case, I don't know, Mr. Williams, whether you stole that gun or not, but it's up to Mr. Reed, before I ask you that question, to establish some evidence that you did. And he doesn't have that evidence. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I understand what Judge Judy was saying about needing hard evidence, and most of what I have was not the smoking gun.
There it is.
He knows he's a thief.
Don't have no evidence. You know, I'm not a thief. You know, I'm not a liar. He can say whatever he wants to say.
I know that he's the only one that could have taken it. He was the only one that had access to my house. He was the only one that had a key. There's nobody else that could have gotten into my house and taken the gun.
I am 120% sure that I did not do that.
Oh, I know he's lying.
I mean, I've known him for a long time. I never would have thought he would have done anything like that.
Well, I hope my daughter opens up her eyes one day, but if she doesn't, she's going to have to make the bed that she lays in. Simple as that.
That's all I hope for. That's all I want, is to be innocent.
DeHaven sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Sykes, I'm going to start with you, sir. You and Mr. Haven were in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, Mr. Haven needed some money for some treatment that she required because she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's what you said.
That's correct at this point.
I want you to be quiet and just listen to me. At some point, according to you and according to her, she asked you if you would sell some of her jewelry.
Correct.
And you agreed to help her sell that jewelry.
That's correct.
I want you to describe the jewelry to me, sir. Let's start with how many pieces were there. What were they?
One is a gold bracelet. One was...
Let's go slowly. I write slowly. I don't take shorthand. One is a gold bracelet.
Mm-hmm. And the other two are wedding rings.
Now, the wedding rings, were they gold wedding rings? Gold and stone?
Yes.
Well,
one of them was severely damaged.
Was it gold and diamonds, gold and rubies, gold?
No, gold and stone. Just like you said. Gold.
What kind of stones? There are all kinds of stones.
Just the wedding ring with the gold band and the diamond in the middle.
One diamond?
Right.
How big?
I would have no idea. I've never been married, and I've never purchased one.
Okay, I assume you have all that information.
Yes.
Eventually, what happened was you went and gave them to a consignment shop.
That's correct.
And got some cash.
That's correct.
And didn't give the cash to Mr. Haven, because according to your answer, you believe that she owed you some money for some work that you had done, so you kept that money to pay off her debt.
That's correct.
Are you nuts? What kind of work do you do?
I do all kinds of things, but I'm
No. Not all kinds. You're a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, a plumber. What kind of work do you do?
I'm self-employed.
What do you do? Self-employed is
entrepreneur.
not a job. You can be a self-employed architect. You can be a self-employed numismology. Is that the right way to pronounce that word? Whatever.
I'm glad you said it.
You can do a lot of things in being self-employed, sir, but you can't be self-employed as a vocation.
Right.
So what do you do?
Self-employed contractor.
What?
Contractor.
I don't know what that means.
I come work on your house.
Why does that have a question to it, Mr. Sykes? You're not coming to work on my house, if that was a question.
But I worked on her house.
I want to know what you do.
I fix anything that has to do inside of your dwelling.
Fine. So you're a handyman.
Okay.
Now, when Miss DeHaven gave you this jewelry to sell, I want you to tell me, when she turned it over to you, what the discussion was with regard to the jewelry.
Okay. Prior to her diagnosis with her medical...
Pay attention to my question.
I'm paying attention.
Pay attention to the question.
It was...
Prior to her giving you the jewelry, I want you to tell me what the discussion was about the jewelry.
Okay.
one morning, she flips open the jewelry box and fishes some stuff out because this stuff's been sitting here for 5 or 7 years. I don't need this. Just try to sell it for me because I could use the money to pay some bills off.
Great.
So I made lots of attempts.
Just a second. Just a second. Okay. Perfectly reasonable. And I believe you.
Okay.
And you made many attempts to sell it.
That's correct.
You still had it in your possession.
That's correct.
When did you decide to pawn it?
When I put it in a consignment shop and let them hold on to it for a while.
Don't give you money, sir. Pawn shops do. Consignment shops, you turn over your thing to them. They call you up when somebody makes them an offer to purchase it. But a consignment shop does not give you money. So you got to get.
That's true.
Don't tell me it's true. I don't need you to tell me that I'm right. Okay. I know that I'm right. I was wrong in 1946. Last time.
Understand.
Carefully. Answer my question.
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide to put it in a pawn shop? Not a consignment shop, but a pawn shop.
March.
March of 2012.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a discussion with Mr. Haven before you did that?
At that point in time, we were not speaking anymore.
So you were out of relationship.
Correct.
So you just pawned it and decided to keep the money for yourself, money that you thought she owed you.
That's correct.
This is not Western vigilante justice, Mr. Sykes. Okay. You can't decide to take someone's property because you think that they owe you money. If you think that they owe you money, what you do is go to court and say you owe me money because I'm a handyman and I fixed your toilet and I fixed your screen door. I'm not finished with what you fixed, Mr. Sykes. You fixed a toilet, you fixed a screen door, you maybe put some putty around a pipe. And for all those things, I think that you owe me a couple of $1,000s. So right now I have your property and I am taking your property and now you come against me for your property. You can't do that. People don't resort to self-help. Otherwise we'd have a lot of people on death row. Do you understand?
Yes.
What's the name of the pawn shop? Don't look over there. Look over here. What's the name of the pawn shop and where is it located?
Hilltop Pawn in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Now, is this the first time that you had been to this pawn shop?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you find it?
They had a TV commercial on saying that they specialize in selling used jewelry.
You remember the name of the person you dealt with?
No.
You have a receipt for the jewelry from there?
No.
What do you mean, no? You think I believe you?
No.
What do you mean you don't have a receipt? You mean you took your stuff to a pawn shop? They gave you, according to you, $1,000, and they didn't give you a receipt?
They gave me a ticket. I don't have it with me, and I don't know where.
Well, where did you think you were coming today? To a circus?
No. No.
Have anything else that you want to tell me, Mr. Sykes? You do understand that I'm not crazy about you.
At this
I'm not
juncture in
crazy
time,
about your position, and I'm not crazy about the story that you're telling me either.
Okay. The only thing that I want to add to this is that prior to Mr. Haven coming down with the circumstances medically she has now, she gave me the jewelry free and willingly to just sell it at my leisure and make different attempts to try to do it. And I made different attempts to do it.
She didn't give you the jewelry, sir. She gave you the jewelry for the purpose of selling it and giving her back the money.
That is correct.
Well, you didn't do that.
But then when all of these other circumstances arose, that's when she said, I need some money right now. And so I said, I will get you the money back, but it's not going to be today. And that's why she pursued legal avenues. That's
talking about, Mr. Sykes, you're double talking me. No. Either you sold it and gave it to a pawn shop.
Well, the facts are the facts. I'm not going to debate that.
Well,
you're right.
Well, then what's your defense? I'm trying to figure out what your defense is.
Because my intent was to get it back to her, to give the money back, or to get the jewelry back to her. But it just can't happen in a snap.
Great. Take off your watch. Take off your watch. Give it to Byrd. Nice ring. Take it off. Give it to Byrd.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Cheryl DeHaven says ex-boyfriend Barry Sykes sold her jewelry at her request, but never turned over the proceeds.
Okay. Oh, well, you're not going to get a whole bunch for the citizens. And you're not going to get much for a 10-carat high school ring. Is this high school or junior high school?
College?
Oh. It says college. Look at that. Can I see receipts for the jewelry? Pictures of the jewelry? Any proof of what this jewelry looked like? Because he has no defense. His defense is, I ate the money. Oh, I see what it is. Okay, nice. And the bracelet? What kind of bracelet? Are you talking about the little pearl bracelet?
It's on the picture where I'm wearing black. It's hard to see it.
Well, I can hardly actually see that. Is it just a plain gold bracelet? Is that what it is?
No, it has diamonds.
Where did you get the bracelet?
It was a gift.
Okay. Now, for my information, how much were you hoping to get for this jewelry?
I was hoping to get at least half its value.
And what is half its value?
It's about $5,000.
Half its value is $5,000? No. Half its value is maybe $2,500. That's half its value. And you might be able to get that because when it was bought a while ago. Gold is up and you may be able to get it.
I was hoping to get that. I was hoping it would be valued at that.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy's correct in every statement that she made.
I won, so that's the good part.
My intention was to retrieve the jewelry items and return them to Mr. Haven.
Once my diagnosis happened, it became immediate that I needed the money for my medical bills.
It couldn't be overnight when she said, I have to have them back now.
The lies that were told.
I was unemployed and I needed some money to live off of, so that's why I did what I did.
I've learned stuff today that I didn't even know.
Was it wrong? Yes, it was. Will I own that mistake? Yes, I will.
Unfortunately, it's hard to trust people.
You were riding a bike. You want to be compensated. You would have ordinarily been able to proceed against Miss Duncan's insurance. However, she let her insurance lapse, and she had no insurance on her car. Is that right?
Yes.
What kind of car did you have?
Nissan 350Z.
When did your insurance lapse? In what month and year?
I believe...
Not believe, it's very easy to verify. What month and year did your insurance lapse?
December in 2011.
And when was this accident?
January 17th, 2012.
What time?
Roughly 5:15 in the evening.
That's not correct.
What time?
It was around 6:30 because it was dark when this happened.
I don't care whether it was dark or whether it was light. She's going to tell me what happened. You have a responsibility if you drive a car to maintain insurance in the event that there's an accident. That's your responsibility. You're not supposed to drive a car without insurance. You know that. Okay. You want to explain to me what happened?
Over here?
Yes.
Your Honor, I was riding my bike westward on Victory Boulevard. I stopped here at the corner. Roughly, maybe the front wheel was actually in the road. I made eye contact with the defendant, and she motioned me forward, at which point I gave a few cautionary seconds and then proceeded.
Did she have a stop sign?
Yes.
Did you have a stop sign, Miss Duncan?
Yes, I did, and I never made eye contact
I don't
with
care.
her.
That wasn't the question. You had a stop sign.
And I was stopped for several minutes there waiting on traffic.
Evidently not long enough. Go ahead.
May I proceed? Yes. So as I proceeded into the designated crossing point, she proceeded simultaneously broadsiding me on my bike, at which point I essentially tumbled forward. I was propelled into her right mirror, knocking the mirror off of her car. I hit it with such force, and then continued to, I assume, fly into the concrete with my rib cage. That was the most pain when I woke up. I completely blacked out. When I woke up, I heard voices, got the feeling for my body again. I had people standing around me. I'm sorry. Yes.
You have a police report?
I do. I could not actually obtain the actual police report. It was a 10-week delay. I have the police report number as well as the officer with which I filed the report.
That your uncle filed for you, right?
No, I walked into the police.
You called me from there.
So no police responded to the scene?
No, and if I could elaborate on that.
Yes.
So we were at the scene, and apparently for LAPD...
Don't tell me apparently for LAPD. Don't surmise. Did you say you wanted an ambulance?
An ambulance came to the scene. When I woke up, there was ambulance and fire.
Did you get into the ambulance?
Yes, and they checked me out.
So you were checked out while you were in ambulance?
Yes.
Okay. Did the ambulance release you?
Against their better judgment, yes.
No. That's not an answer. I don't know whether it's against their better judgment or not. The ambulance released you.
Yes.
And what did you do when the ambulance released you?
Waited for the police.
In my car.
Miss Duncan, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell your side of the story. Don't interrupt her again.
Okay, I apologize.
The police never arrived.
Never?
Never.
So what did you do?
Ms. Duncan offered to take me to the hospital.
And did you agree?
Yes.
So Miss Duncan took you to the hospital?
Yes.
Do you have the report from them?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. So you had 2 surgical staples to close a wound in the back of your head?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a photograph of that as well, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. But that's what the doctor found, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And, Your
Great.
Honor, I also have photographs of the bicycle and the car.
I'd like to see those as well.
And a text message that followed later.
So am I correct that you sent her $100 for bike repairs shortly after this happened? And that you said to her that you promised to send me your bills and we would work it out?
Yeah, we had discussed, well, I wanted to discuss it with her before I paid anything because the paramedics even said, this is why we call this an accident.
It was an accident. I don't think you did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't think you did it on purpose. You were negligent. You didn't stop long enough at the stop sign.
I was stopped long. There was a lot of traffic.
Well, whether there was a lot of traffic or not, you're supposed to stop long enough to make sure it's clear. Pedestrians or somebody like that on a bike. You didn't do that. And not only didn't you do it, but you had no insurance, which would have taken care of all of our medical bills, and we would not be here today.
No, exactly. I understand that. But when I get my chance to talk, I'll...
Now it's your chance.
Okay.
Now it's your chance. Now I've seen the photographs of the car. I've seen your text message. I've seen her medical bills. I've seen her injuries. Okay. Now it's your chance to talk.
I exited the freeway, and I stopped, and I was there long enough for at least 4 to 5 trucks and cars to go past. I'm a trained driver. I've been doing this a long time, and I know to be in tune with my surroundings and wait, have my proper eye lead time.
Would you just tell me what happened, please, on the 17th, not what your history is?
Okay, I sat there, and I waited for traffic to go by. I looked to the right, I looked to the left, I looked back and forth, because I know pedestrians are on that sidewalk, and I never saw her.
But she was there. I mean, she wasn't a phantom. She was there.
I'm
so
still
you
freaked out because my attention was 100%. I don't even have my cell phone out in my car.
But you missed it. Miss Duncan, that's why it's called an accident. You missed it.
Well, it still baffles me. I guess it was my blind spot. I rolled forward when traffic was clear, and I hear a thump, and it freaked me out. I didn't see anyone. I thought I hit a dog. I didn't know. So I get out of my car. She was conscious. She was never knocked out, for starters. This was at dark. That was not at 5:30. She was awake when I got out of my car, which took several seconds. And I didn't know to move her, what to do, because I didn't know her injuries. Want to make sure she was okay. Then 2 gentlemen stopped. They called 911 because my phone was in my thing.
We're past now.
I was concerned about her.
We're past now anything that I'm interested in. I think, Miss Duncan, it was very nice of you to offer to take her to the hospital. I think that was...
Well, I did take her to the hospital.
Yes, I know. So I think it was very nice of you to offer to take her to the hospital. She was injured as a result of you, whatever it is, having an accident, something that you didn't plan on. But she was injured, and you had a stop sign.
And
if
I
you
was
didn't
stopped.
And if you weren't stopped long enough, for as long as it takes. Nowhere in any book does it say you're supposed to stop for 3 seconds or 4 seconds or 5 seconds. It says you're supposed to stop until it's 100% safe for you to proceed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Bicyclist Alexandria Damiano says she was riding her bike when motorist Constance Duncan hit her. She is suing for her medical bills and pain and suffering.
Now, you had no business driving your car without insurance.
Yes, and I hadn't been until that day, and I made
well,
a
you
mistake.
didn't have insurance that day or the day before that.
I understand that.
Oh, okay.
I was truly concerned about her well-being.
And I give you credit for that. You were truly concerned, and you were very nice to take her to the hospital. She acknowledges that.
But I'm not going to sit here and have her lie about the time of the accident and that I looked at her. How can I look at someone I never saw?
I'm not even taking... Listen to me. That's adding fluff to her case. I don't even believe it.
Thank you.
That you made eye contact with her and she made eye contact with you. That's baloney.
Yeah, it is.
I don't believe it.
Thank you.
What I believe is you didn't stop long enough at the stop sign. That's what happened. Unfortunately for both of you, both her bike as well as your car were going very slowly, so she wasn't more seriously injured.
Exactly.
I believe that happened, but you didn't stop long enough to avoid hurting her.
Well, that intersection right there, I'm always afraid I'm going to get rear-ended because I do sit there long. I sit there a long time until traffic is clear.
On the 17th of January, 2012, you didn't sit there long enough. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Well, if you were visible,
You may step out.
she was a different person at the scene of the accident.
I felt terrible bringing this to this point.
Oh, this wasn't anyone's fault, and you're a nice lady.
It seemed like she thought she was getting a free pass. Sorry, I don't have insurance. Sorry, I hit you. Have a good day.
Riding your bicycle on the wrong side of the road at night with black clothing on.
100% incorrect. I was wearing off gray.
I've never come in contact with anything while in my vehicle, and it's not a good feeling.
My back is totally messed up.
I felt horrible. It's a scary thing.
Used to be an athlete, and now I'm terrified of bicycles.
And then to see her sitting on the sidewalk, it was horrible.
Don't trust drivers and wear neon? I don't know.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Garnier versus Gould. Step forward.
Christopher Garnier is suing his ex-roommate, 25-year-old Claire Gould, for unpaid rent and utility bills after she broke...
Garnier, you and the defendant moved in together as roommates in an apartment, and you signed a lease.
Yes, ma'am.
How long was the lease?
It was for, I believe, 15 months, Your Honor.
Do you have a copy of the lease?
Yes, ma'am, of course I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Yes, ma'am.
And you agreed to split the rent?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Okay. That's a lie. We did not agree to split it half and half.
We absolutely did, ma'am.
I have my checks. I was paying a flat rate of $700.
Can you explain to me why you were paying $700?
Our agreement was before I told him I cannot afford to live in a nice place in downtown where he lived. He said, I really need a roommate. What is your highest amount that you can pay? And I said, a month, flat rate, no utilities, no cable, nothing, $700.
Ma'am, that's not true at all.
Wait 1 second. Now, you were not a couple together.
Absolutely not.
You were not a couple. And how many months did you live there? The lease started September 1st.
I only lived there for 1 month and 2 weeks.
Okay. You lived there 1 month and 2 weeks.
I did.
So how many rent checks do you have?
I have one. Shh. I have this one right here, September rent. And I have my deposit checks.
Well, the total security deposit was $850. How much was your security deposit?
$540.
Okay. This was a 2-bedroom apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were moving in as roommates only?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe you said that you agreed to split the money down the middle. Okay, let's move on. She moved out after a month. She says she had the right to move out for a month because she felt uncomfortable with you, and you want damages. You ultimately moved out of the apartment as well.
Yes, ma'am, I
Because
had to. I could not afford it, ma'am.
Because you couldn't afford the rent, and you want whatever damages you incurred. How long did you stay there? Don't speak.
Okay.
How long
I
did you
moved out February 29th, leap year.
So you lived there the month of September with the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
October, November, December, January, and February. You lived there 5 months on your own?
With another roommate.
Don't speak. Of the 5 months that you lived there on your own, did you pay the rent?
Yes, ma'am, every month.
Until the end of February?
Yes, ma'am, and I have proof of all that as well, ma'am.
I'd like to see the checks.
Yes, ma'am. I don't have
5
checks, ma'am,
months.
but I have all of my bank statements, which you see $2,650, which is the total amount.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. Paid your rent.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you moved out.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want her to pay half the rent for the 5 months that you lived there, but she didn't pay her half. And now it's up to you to tell me why you moved out after a month after you signed the lease.
He told me that he would only have partial custody of his son. His son would only be there for 1 day out of the week. That actually turned out to be incorrect. He has full custody of his son. He would leave his son there without my knowledge by himself.
Never.
Shh.
Quite a lot. It was very uncomfortable. His son would come knock on my door and say, hey, can you feed me dinner? I'd ask, where's your father? I don't even know where he was. Who knows how long his son was there alone? And then you top that all off with his alcoholism. He would get completely...
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Gould. How old are you?
25.
And how old is his son?
5.
So you had a legitimate concern for a 5-year-old boy when you lived there?
Yeah.
You had a look at me. That's a question. You had a legitimate concern for a 5-year-old boy when you lived there?
You mean him coming to me and asking...
That he was left alone?
Yes.
That he was left unfed?
Yes.
And that his father was drinking around him? You had a legitimate concern?
Yes.
After you moved out, when was the first call you made to Child Protective Services?
It wasn't until after I found out that he was no longer in the military.
No.
I waited for my lawyer.
Just a second.
Okay. Sorry.
You moved out on what date?
I moved out on October 14th.
And on Child Protective Services?
Today.
Excuse me?
I waited until today.
Until today?
Absolutely.
And how did you feel that this 5-year-old was going to negotiate being left alone October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and May? How did you feel as if the child was going to feed himself, take care of himself, until you got here to court today? How did you think that was going to happen? If you had a legitimate concern for him,
I understand why you're upset, and I did have a
Well,
legitimate
no,
concern.
I understand. I'm either upset because you didn't really care about this 5-year-old, or
Well, that is
or
another
because
reason
you
why.
or because you're full of baloney.
No,
either one.
absolutely not.
Either, and if you're not full of baloney, that you observed what you did observe, then you are a pretty heartless 25-year-old leaving a 5-year-old in the company of someone who couldn't take care of him for 8 months. Either you were heartless,
no,
because you left him there uncared for 8 months, or you're full of baloney.
No.
Well,
Neither.
it has to be one. It has to be one or the other because
There's Greg.
you left him with his father.
Okay, may I speak?
Did you leave him with someone other than his father?
Yes, there was another roommate that came in. Allison.
You
his
left
friend.
him with another roommate.
Well, I mean, I left him with his father, who should take care of him. Of course. I mean, I left to get myself out of the scary situation that I was in.
You owe him $5,000, madam. I don't believe you. You owe him actually $6,625. The maximum for this
You're
court
not
is
even going to look at the
$5,000.
checks that I have here. September rent, $700.
Yeah, no. I believe that you said that you were going to pay for half.
Oh
And
no,
you
not
didn't.
at all. Look, here's his
And you left.
331. Can I have time for my countersuit at least?
I don't have to entertain your countersuit. You're
I'm being sent to
leaving.
collections
You're leaving
because he abandoned the apartment with falsified orders from the military.
Listen,
the military is
to me.
aware that he falsified
Listen-
his orders.
Listen
He's been
to
living
me.
a lie
You're
this
not-
entire
you-
time.
Listen to me. You're not paying attention. It's very simple. You signed a lease.
And for my safety, I got out. For my safety.
listen.
I wasn't responsible for his 5-year-old child that he's responsible for.
Listen
for
to
my
me, my
safety, I got
sweetheart.
out.
Listen. Try closing your mouth and listening. You signed a lease. You
But when my
broke.
safety
You
is in jeopardy,
signed
there's
a
no way.
lease and you broke the
I
lease.
asked him to roommate release me. And also, you know what? He
Judge
told
me for the
before-
plaintiff for the amount of $5,000.
Thank you, ma'am. I
Your
appreciate it.
counterclaim's dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Signed a 1-year lease, actually a 15-month lease, and left after 32 days. It's just not okay.
I still am so happy I have that restraining order because he terrifies me.
I spent 10 years as an officer in the United States Marine Corps. I'm currently a high school English teacher right now. I am above reproach.
He would get completely wasted, scare his son, and scare me.
What she's saying is just ridiculous and unfounded.
He's an outstanding father, and I believe she wanted to move in with her boyfriend.
He would tell me that my boyfriend wasn't man enough for me and that he wasn't allowed over.
I have a 5-year-old son who I've had full custody of. It just wasn't appropriate for him to be around my son every night.
It was supposed to be a roommate situation, not anything else.
I think she was a little bit upset about me kind of giving her some rules.
I think he had other plans.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. DeMara, you are a landlord. What kind of premises do you have?
I
sir?
have a 5-family house, Dudley, Massachusetts. I live in the attic apartment.
How long have you owned it?
15 years.
The defendants were your tenants. Where did they live?
They lived in the apartment directly below me. Actually, it used to be part of my house, and I had it transferred into a studio unit.
So they had a studio apartment.
That's correct.
When did you move in?
December 21st.
2011.
2011, yes.
What was your rent?
$775 a month.
When did you move out?
April 1st.
Did you have a written lease?
There was a rental agreement that was signed. I don't have a copy of it anymore.
Do you have, Mr. DeMari?
A rental agreement. I do have that.
I'd like
yes.
to see it, please.
Absolutely. And there was another thing that they had signed. It's called the condition of the apartment.
No, just listen.
Just the lease?
Mr.
Fine.
DeMari, pay attention.
Just.
Just.
Thank you.
Okay, so they are at-will tenants.
Yes.
That's
Judge, my signature is not on that one.
You don't want to be anything but an at-will tenant.
Yes, I know. With
Okay.
that lease agreement, I believe.
I'm just letting you know. You don't want to be anything other than an at-will tenant. Great. So you moved in December 21st. Did you pay your rent for January?
Yes.
2012?
Yes.
How much did you pay in January?
In January, when we moved in, we paid him a full $1,700, first and last, and a little bit towards December.
Did you give him any money in February?
In February, no, ma'am.
What about in March?
No.
No February or March. So you lived there, should have paid him for January, February, and March. 3 months times $775 equals $23.25.
Yes.
And you gave him $1,700 in total?
Yes.
Which means that you owe him $625 for rent. Can't live someplace without paying rent.
We didn't pay the full amount of rent because we felt like we weren't living there.
I don't care what you felt at all. You were there. I just asked you when you moved in, when you moved out. You gave me the dates. I'm taking your dates. This is what you should have paid in rent. This is what you paid in rent. This is what you owe in rent. It's simple. See how easy? I am really bad in math, but I have my living calculator right here. Okay, so on the plaintiff's side now, you have $625 in rent. That's owed to you, Mr. DeMar.
Yes.
What else do you think that they owe you for?
Well, they owed me for the eviction costs, which totaled out to $1,760. That's like for the movers I had to hire. the constable I had to hire, and legal fees, and a lock. I had to change the locks, too.
Did you serve them with eviction?
Yes,
with an
I did.
eviction notice?
Yes, I did. 14-day notice to quit.
When did you serve him with that?
The date's on the notice to quit. Oh, dear.
Was that notice to quit for
Notice to
non-payment
quit.
of rent?
Yes, that's exactly what it is, for unpaid rent.
May I say something?
What?
He gave us probably about 5 notices to quit, starting January 9th was the first one. He would put notices in our door on a daily basis, but starting
When
in
did he
January...
start to put 14-day notices under your door?
He started threatening to throw us out in early January.
Show me where he put a notice to quit in January.
Where is it? No state.
I have the notices to quit if you want those.
I'd like to see them.
Absolutely.
Right here, January 5th.
There you go.
I'd like to see theirs for January 5th,
There's
please.
two. There's one for the 5th and one for the 15th.
Thank you. Let me see, take a look at theirs first. If they moved in, sir, on December 21st and they gave you $1,700, why in January did you start giving them notices to quit for non-payment of rent?
When they moved in, I informed them that they needed to play first, last, in security. 3 775s, which came to $23.25. And I only got $1,700 from them.
What are you, nuts?
Why is that? Why is that, sir? I'm sorry. Why?
Well, you accepted the $1,700 the first month that they were there. So even under the best case scenario, they were good for a couple of months.
Absolutely.
So why did you serve them on January 5th, 3 weeks after they gave you $1,700?
Well, they told me they weren't going to pay their rent. Jamie said that he's not going to pay his rent anymore. He decided that we're not going to live here anymore. We don't want to pay your rent. And if you don't get away from the door, I'm going to stick these dogs on you. That's what happened.
That's all made up.
All right. Sir, I'm not interested in your eviction cost. You're entitled to $625 for rent. What else?
Damages. The apartment was quite a mess. They have all sorts of pictures showing what the apartment looked like when I walked into it.
Well, I want to see what the apartment looked like, sir, when you rented it to them.
Okay, I have those pictures also.
Great. I want to see those first, and I want to see the other one second.
This is the apartment prior to them moving in.
Great. Thank you. Very smart.
And these are from after that.
May I ask a quick question? Are those pictures dated?
I'm going to look at them. No?
No. So could he have possibly taken them after he cleaned the apartment?
Well, he could have taken them. Is that what you said?
Yes.
It's possible. When were these pictures taken, sir?
They were taken prior to them moving in the apartment.
When?
The
Month
date?
and year. Month and year. They moved in December 2011.
I'm going to say around October of 2011.
Why would you take so many pictures of an apartment before?
That's normally what I do.
Shh. Whose clothes were in the apartment, sir?
The tenants. That's right, tenants was living there.
We didn't leave anything behind, Your Honor.
Not these tenants.
Not you. He's not talking about you. These are the before
Different
pictures.
tenants.
Okay.
Why were you taking pictures with your tenant there?
Well, I asked them.
They were still living there.
Because he's a creep.
Their toothbrushes are still there. Their towels
Absolutely.
are still there. Why were you taking pictures in their apartment?
Well, I felt it's necessary for me to have pictures. I do it for every time before.
Well, why were you taking pictures when people were still living there
Because
in
I
the
don't know
apartment?
what other tenants are going to do.
Anything
I've had
could
the house
happen
for
after those
15
pictures were
years.
taken.
I've had the
That's-
house for 15 years, Remy.
It's just, listen to me. I think that if you take pictures before you rent an apartment to someone, that's a very smart thing if you're going to ask for damages later. I have never heard of anybody taking pictures of an apartment while there's still another tenant there, taking showers and brushing their teeth. You wait until after that tenant leaves, you do a cleanup, and then you take pictures of what the apartment looks like.
I guess that would
If
be
you
better.
go into somebody's house and take pictures while somebody is there, that's creepy.
Exactly.
We'll get to more of that creepiness, Your Honor.
Oh, listen, I read your answer, sir. He doesn't owe you any money. Byrd, would you show this to them?
Your Honor, when I walked into that apartment, I was shocked by the condition of it.
Yeah, it looks messy.
Messy and damaged.
While we were in the process of moving our things, we had one last load left of the apartment. We went to bring our things to our new apartment, came back, the locks were already changed. We weren't able to get our entertainment center out of there, our kitchen table out of there, and our microwave cart.
Of course,
all
there's
was
a
still
lot.
left in the apartment.
And we weren't able to clean up. Last thing to be done is one last trip and to clean up.
Why would you clean up?
Is it the right thing to do?
Shut up. Why would you clean up if you got evicted? Tell me why you would clean up. You weren't going to get any money back because you'd already lived off all the rent. So what you want me to believe is you were going to go back there just because you're two nice folks and go back there and clean up the stove and the refrigerator and all that stuff that looked as if it hadn't been cleaned in weeks. And you were going to go and do that even though you weren't getting any security deposit back because you had lived off of that in rent.
That was more.
So do you understand my question?
Yes.
Because you said to me, we were going to go back there and clean up. And I want you to explain to me, what would motivate you to do that?
Well, more or less to avoid being sued for him having to clean up. Why would we leave all our things there, like an entertainment center and a table also? We wanted to go back there to get all those things, but we couldn't retrieve those.
So the answer is you were not going back to clean up.
We were going back to clean up and to retrieve the rest of our things.
Yeah, maybe retrieve the rest of your things, but it had nothing to do with cleaning up. You hadn't cleaned that apartment in 3 weeks. Do you want to take a look at it? You want me to show it to you again? You see it?
The stove.
That's not breakfast.
The mirror in the bathroom was another one.
Not neat.
Can I say something, Your Honor? How do you even know that all the mess that's there was left by us? He couldn't have embellished it, made it.
How do I know? Tell me it wasn't. Just a second. Tell me it wasn't. What do you mean, how do I know? You're going to tell me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, Dominic Damari says former tenants Amber Sklars and Jamie Goodall owe for rent, eviction fees, and damage to their apartment. The defendants claim Dominic was a shady landlord.
Okay. You said to me we were going to go back there and clean up.
We didn't leave the apartment in that bad of conditions.
I just showed you two things. I showed you the bathroom and the kitchen stove.
Right.
Yes.
And is what you're telling me that wasn't from you?
Not all of it, no. What was in the bathroom? I didn't see that picture all the way. If you don't, can I please see it?
Absolutely.
Show that to her. That toilet's disgusting.
It sure is.
In the mirror on the ground.
How many pets did you have?
2.
Did you read this thing where it says pets are not allowed?
Pets were allowed.
No, not in this.
On that, no. That I never signed that agreement. You'll see that I never signed that
That's
agreement.
something he just printed up afterwards, Your Honor, and no signatures are on it.
Fine. Do you have something with your signature on it?
With my signature on it, right here. Yes, this is
I'd like to have it.
the statement of the present conditions of the apartment, and
And
then
his
this was
pet-friendly clause,
and his
Your Honor.
pet-friendly.
I'd like to see both.
And we have paperwork saying that we also needed to leave a pet deposit.
Yeah, if I may. I do allow pets.
Okay. What kind of an application were you supposed to fill out?
There was no application that I was supposed to fill out.
It says if you are a pet lover who doesn't mind barking and many other pleasures that come with being a responsible pet owner, fill out the application. Otherwise, this apartment is not for you.
If it's part of the paperwork that I filled out when I met with him on December 19th, he should have it. I never got a copy of it.
He never gave us any application.
Rental application I have right here, Your Honor.
Can I see it, please?
Which clearly states about the pets that are on there.
Does it have my signature on it?
Okay. Well, she does indicate here that they have 2 dogs.
That's correct.
Okay. And she did fill out this application.
Yes, she did.
This is your handwriting,
Is
right?
it my handwriting? I can't see it. I'm sorry.
You can show this to her.
2 mixed breed dogs, they told me.
Fine. Thank you.
Your Honor, they had 2 pit bulls in there. And I have elderly people in that building,
Listen.
93-year-old woman.
Listen, they owe you so far $625 for rent. What else? And they left a messy place which you had to clean up.
Well, the eviction costs, like, I had to hire movers.
Forget eviction costs.
Okay, damage costs, the carpeting, the photos that I took there.
Oh, there's a piece here that says that the prior tenants in that place had cigarette burns all over the carpeting. Yeah.
Well, the carpeting wasn't actually beautiful, no.
I know. Keep going.
It was terrible.
Keep going. I saw that there.
Cost
So
at
far,
Home
they owe you
Depot.
$625
The
for rent.
stove. The stove was a mess. I had to have it repaired. Haul away the rubbish and haul away the furniture.
How much did you pay to haul away all the rubbish?
$185.
There was no rubbish left behind if he's talking.
What else?
The labor costs and to get the apartment back in shape. No?
What else?
Okay.
That's what you do as a landlord.
Medical costs, medications, and stuff like that.
What else, sir?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're looking
What
for.
else? I'm not looking for anything else. If you paid $185 to haul away their
It
stuff, you're entitled
cost
to
me a
that.
lot of money to have them evicted, Your
What?
Honor. It cost me a lot of money to have them
You
evicted.
started to have them evicted too soon, sir.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm telling
No.
you, you did. If they gave you $1,700, sir, and less than 3 weeks later, you gave them their first notice to quit the apartment.
I asked for first, last, and security.
I don't care what you asked for.
May I interject why I believe we don't owe him that money?
You can tell me. 30 seconds.
Okay.
Doing terrible.
When we moved in, we started noticing weird things happening, medications going missing, drawers being left open.
This is not-
There was a couple
I don't wanna hear
occasions
you.
where
I'm
he
sorry.
knocked on our door in the morning. One instance, it was January 21st, 7:30 on a Saturday morning. Knocked on our door. We didn't answer. We're sleeping. It's 7:30 on a Saturday morning. He says, "Amber Jamie, are you home?" We didn't answer. "I'm coming in. I smell gas." While we're home, don't you think we would smell the gas ourselves if we were home?
I had to get up out of bed in my underwear, Your Honor, and physically close the door in order to keep him from coming in.
Lies.
And at this moment, all of a sudden, the concern for gas was gone, and he said, when are you going to pay me more money?
Concern for gas is baloney. Yes.
Yeah, I know that.
And
but all of a sudden, the concern for gas was gone, and he asked me about more rent. He said, you just got paid, where's more rent money? But we didn't owe him any more rent, and then he left.
Well, that's not actually true, sir, because if what you were supposed to give him was first, last, and security, then you hadn't given him that.
I have something here saying that. Can you please give this, sir? The highlighted spot says, I will need $150 payment toward the security deposit each month in addition to your rent payment. So we didn't owe him any more money until the first time we needed to pay him rent, which would have been the 1st of February.
Did you pay him rent the 1st of February?
No, because we told him we planned on getting out before that because he had started
But you didn't get out.
No, it's very hard to find a place that will rent you.
That's not his problem.
No, it is not.
That's not
No,
his
it is not.
problem.
Paid first and last.
You owe him rent. If you lived there...
We didn't really live there, though. With the things that were going on with him entering, I woke up one morning and from hearing a door open and close.
You woke up one morning where?
In my bed.
Right. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
You lived there.
Yes.
Your Honor, the guy came into our apartment while we were in bed.
That's a lie.
He entered our... I woke up and found him standing in our kitchen.
I would have, if you felt threatened, sir.
We did.
Quiet. If I felt threatened, I wouldn't have stayed there for another minute. Are you an orphan?
No.
Are you an orphan?
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what I would have done. I would have said, I feel threatened by this creepy landlord. I'm getting out of here. Take him to small claims court and sue him for a return of your rent. You can't live there and not pay rent. I wouldn't live in a place where the landlord walked into my house because he said, I smell gas, and he smells gas 3-4 times a week. That wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen.
I assure you we got out as soon as possible.
No, you didn't get out as soon as possible.
As soon as we found another
Not
apartment.
as soon as I found. I would go to a shelter if I felt threatened.
We can't go to a shelter with our dogs.
That's your problem. That's not his problem. That would be your problem. Board your dogs.
If we stayed there,
put them in a kennel. Give them away. I wouldn't live in a place where I felt threatened. But if I'm living there, you have to pay rent. That's what grown-ups do. They pay rent. You owe him $810. It's $185 to haul away your rubbish and $625 in rent. The other stuff, sir, is nonsense. Goodbye.
All right, sir, excuse me. Step out.
I feel that we don't owe him any money considering the living conditions that we had there.
These folks have lied to me from the beginning when they moved into the apartment. All I got was lying from them constantly.
We felt threatened all the time.
I think that's absolutely nonsense.
We believe that he would say he smelled gas just so we could enter our apartment and snoop around.
It's not as though I went into their apartment ever when they were in there. I always went by the law what I had to do.
The guy's a creep. He used to come into our apartment randomly.
That did not happen.
We found evidence of him coming in the back door. We would leave a shoe or something like that near the door, and it would randomly be out where the door opened all the way to.
They were lying, like I said.
Things missing. My girlfriend's pair of underwear was gone out of her top drawer at one point.
What do I have use for any of that stuff for?
We would be in bed trying to be intimate at one point, and we heard him outside of our apartment door.
All they do is lie.
Every time we had some kind of conversation, you could hear the boards creaking above us. He would come out and open up his door and listen to our... someone's just peeping in and listening to you at most intimate of times. It's creepy.
Nonsense. Total nonsense.
I asked the police what I should do. They said I need some more evidence.
We called and they said there's nothing we can do. Install security cameras.
Live and learn.
Case 2113, Pickett versus Glick. All parties, please step forward.
William Pickett is suing his former friend, Clinton Gick, for unpaid car payments and vehicle damage.
Mr. Pickett, you and the defendant, according to what I've read, were friends. You knew each other.
Yes.
You had a car that you were interested in selling. The defendant was interested in purchasing the car. Your car was 10 or 11-year-old vehicle,
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
When had you purchased it?
I purchased it about a year or so prior.
So you only had the car for a year. You were not an original owner.
Yeah.
Did you pay cash?
I did.
How much did you pay for the car?
Roughly $10,000, $10,000.
No, I want to know. I mean, you came to court today, not a roughly. Today we know the numbers. We're not talking about something that happened 20 years ago, something that happened a year ago. You bought a car a year ago. You paid cash for it, according to you. I want to know how much you paid for it. That's easy. You should have those records.
$10,000.
Well, now you say 10, right?
Yep.
Now you say 10. So now I'm going to tell you to go outside and get me the bill of sale for the car.
I did not bring that.
Why?
I didn't think I needed it.
How am I supposed to ascertain what you paid for the car, sir?
I didn't think about that.
Should have thought about it. I thought about it right off the bat. You had the car for 1 year. And when did you sell it to the defendant?
3/18 of 22.
For how much?
$10,000.
Well, then you're a genius businessman, because unless this 10, 11-year-old car, Mr. Pickett, had something really unusual about it, most cars depreciate the moment you drive them out of a lot. You bought this car from a company, which means you paid more for it than if you purchased it through a private person. You understand that?
Yes.
Of course. So there was clearly a markup. Sarah, take a look at a 2012 Dodge Charger with 148,000 miles.
I got it. Between 7,500 and 10,000 for a private party sale.
Okay, so as I thought, the value of the car went down from when you bought it, but you sold it to him for $10,000 because he was making payments, I assume because he was making payments. Did you have a written contract?
I did.
I'd like to take a look at it. Mr. Glick, how did you know each other, sir?
We worked together. We'd known each other for about a year, I think, at the time the car was sold.
Okay, so the first thing was he traded in something of value, which was he gave you a car.
Correct.
What kind of car did he give you?
A Honda minivan.
Did you have the title to that?
Yes, I did.
Did he turn over the title to you?
He did.
What did you do with the Honda minivan?
I sold it.
To whom?
Someone off of Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, when did you sell it?
A few weeks afterwards.
How much did you sell it for? How much did you say you sold it for?
$1,000, $1,200.
Let's get specific, Mr. Pickett.
$1,000.
I'm not exactly sure what he sold it for, but clearly acknowledges at least $1,000. So this is what the lawsuit is about, and I've read your contract. According to the contract that you have here, you listed the dates, the schedule of payments, and you marked off when he paid and when he didn't. But we're going to go through the dates, and your lawsuit seeks damages to the car, repo fees, the unpaid contract price of the car because you repossessed it and you want him to continue until he's finished paying for it, right? That's what you want.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant has a counterclaim. And his counterclaim, in effect, although he doesn't articulate it in legalese, the basis of his countersuit is that there was never any meaningful breach of the contract and that he tried to make his payments pursuant to the contract and that you repossessed the car without just cause, and he's counterclaiming for the money that he put into the car as equity. That's what your counterclaim is.
That's
correct? Okay. So far you put in $4,000. According to this, he paid you March of 2022, April. As a matter of fact, he made 2 payments.
Correct. Payment schedule was for every 2 weeks.
Shh. 6/17, he made a partial payment, but made that up on 7/1, so he was up to date. Then you say on the 15th of July, he missed a payment. Did you miss a payment the 15th of July?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Tell me why.
At that point, the plaintiff had already threatened to repossess the car several times before I'd ever missed a payment on the car.
Because you made a partial payment once in June.
Yeah, and also...
But then made it up again within 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you had already said to him, you missed payments, I'm going to repossess the car.
I informed, I didn't threaten to repossess it.
No.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you missed a payment on July 15th.
Yes, and I informed him when I missed the payment that the reason for missing it, he had just filed for bankruptcy, and with his bankruptcy and the threats to repossess the car, I had decided that I wanted to miss, as it states in the contract, that I could miss 2 consecutive payments before repossession. I wanted to talk to a lawyer and make sure that I wasn't going to be putting even more money into a car that
you weren't going to have equity in.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's why you missed July 15th.
Yes, that's
okay.
correct.
And it's the 29th of July, also missed.
Yes. So I attempted to give Mr. Pickett a $500 payment on the 29th. He refused to accept that payment, and I have that in text.
I'd like to see it.
Text messages.
I'd like to see it. Do you acknowledge that he attempted to give you a payment on the 29th?
Yeah, he attempted to make a partial payment.
He attempted to give you $500.
Correct.
And tell me why you didn't accept the $500. He missed the payment on the 15th.
I informed him on the 16th that I would not accept a late payment unless it's in conjunction with the current payment.
You can't change the contract, sir. You can't change a written contract. There was a loan on this car.
Yeah, there was a title loan on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. That adds a different wrinkle to this whole thing because you told me you paid cash for the car, so I assume there was not a problem.
William Pickett, claims his former friend, Clinton Gick, owes for car payments and vehicle damage. Clinton is countersuing, claiming Williams sold the car under false pretenses.
Now, you had a written contract with him. If you're changing the terms, he has to agree to the terms in writing in the same force and manner of the original contract, which is this in writing signed by both parties. You have a contract here. The contract says he can't miss 2 consecutive payments. He wasn't missing 2 consecutive payments. He missed July 15th, and he tried to give you one on the 29th of July. If you refuse to accept it, he hasn't missed 2 payments. You refuse to accept the second one. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, well, I see the interchange, Mr. Pickett, and the interchange clearly says you're paying your $1,000 today or returning my car. He says, I'll be giving you my $500 payment that's due today. Then you changed the contract and you said, not acceptable. You're behind $500 and a late payment will only be acceptable with a current payment. Is there anything about that in your contract?
There is not.
Okay, so if it's not in your contract, it doesn't exist, and you had so far no reason to repossess the car. Did he try to make a payment to you in August?
I think one other time between the time I repossessed it.
Okay, well, you had no reason to repossess it so far unless he missed 2 consecutive payments or unless he failed to keep insurance. Did he fail to keep insurance?
I have never been given proof of insurance.
This doesn't require that you are given proof of insurance
or not.
This doesn't say you require proof. Did you have insurance on the car?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Through whom?
Erie Insurance Agency.
Okay. And you have no information to the contrary?
I don't.
Okay, fine. So at the time you repossessed the car so far, Mr. Pickett, you didn't have basis under your contract to repossess the car.
There was also other terms that I believe he had violated.
Well, let's hear them. So far, he didn't miss 2 consecutive payments. Had you filed for bankruptcy?
I had started filing for bankruptcy, yeah.
Is that completed?
Still hasn't been discharged yet. I think I have another month or so.
Was this the first time you filed for bankruptcy?
Yes,
buyer misses 2 or more consecutive payments. Buyer fails to maintain full coverage under insurance. Any significant damage to the vehicle that is not repaired in 30 days. Did you notify Mr. Glick of any damage to the car? Give him notice and say, pursuant to the contract, it has to be fixed in 30 days?
We had talked about it when he came to drop off one of his payments, and he said...
Well, give me a month.
It was...
A month and a year.
It was in June.
June of 2022, he came over to drop off a payment, and that would have either been on June 3rd or June 17th.
Correct.
Okay, and tell me about the conversation.
I said, hey, there's a dent in the front now. He said he'll get taken care of. At that point, I didn't really inspect the car. Because
well, I don't care what you didn't do. Yeah. I want to know what you did.
Yeah, I told him, it needs to be fixed. And he said he'll get taken care of.
Okay, and?
When I repossessed it, it was still there, as well as more damage.
Okay. Did he talk to you about the dent in the front?
I don't recall that conversation ever happening. There was text messages sent to me about damage to the car. The car had dents and dings all over it when I got the car. I mean, the front bumper even had significant damage to it.
You repossessed the car at the end of August. Where is the car now?
At my house.
What's it doing at your house?
I was just sitting there for the moment.
Well, what's your intention to do with the car?
Give it up in my bankruptcy or repair it and keep it and pay it off.
Who has the title?
The title loan company.
So there was a loan on this car?
Yeah, there was a title loan on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. That adds a different wrinkle to this whole thing. Because you told me you paid cash for the car, so I assume there was not a problem. When did you take out a title loan on the car?
I took out the title loan.
Month and year?
One of them was in December of 21.
Did you know that there was a title loan taken out on this car?
I knew that there was one. I didn't know that there were multiple. I don't know. But yeah, I did know there was a title loan.
Did you know in what amount?
No, I was never.
Well, that's pretty dumb of you.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, because if you're buying something free and clear that he owes nothing on, that's one thing. How much was the title loan?
Roughly $6,000 is what was owed on it still at that point when he bought it.
How much did you pay off?
A few thousand by that point. It's super high interest.
Okie dokie. Mr. Pickett, your claim against the defendant is dismissed. I'm now entertaining his counterclaim. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You get stuck with this car. Now, problem is, you drove this car.
Yes.
Was it your primary source of driving the car?
Yes, it was.
Okay. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so, Mr. Glick, this was your primary vehicle. How much do you think it would cost you to rent a car per month? Per month. Give me a figure.
To rent a car?
Yeah.
Per month, I would say $900 a month, probably something like that, $900,000 a month, maybe.
Okay. Based upon what you told me, it's not so egregious because you had the use of the car for 10 months. I actually don't think that an 11-year-old car would cost that much to rent, $900 a month, considering that you also paid for your own insurance.
Correct.
And if you rented a car, that the insurance would, of necessity, come with a car. Sarah, could you look up for me best deals on leasing a Dodge Charger? I don't know what that is. Is that a truck?
It's a car.
Is there a site where you could look that up?
I'll see what I could find.
But the intention was that money was going to go towards, something that I would own.
Well, I understand that,
right.
but you had full use of his property for 10 months.
Sure.
You don't think it's fair for you not to pay for some of that use?
I would think the depreciation in the car for the mileage that I put on it would be more than fair. Absolutely.
Everything depends on how much you put down versus how much you pay monthly, so there's a wide range.
Give me the range. He didn't put anything.
$786 a month, $843 a month, but these are for brand new Dodge Chargers, not for 2012.
Oh.
So.
Okay. And according to you, the current low price on this car is $7,500 price.
For a private party.
For a private party, low price, $7,500.
Yes.
So you're going to resell this car, and the car is currently in working order, and the low price on that car is $7,500, right?
Yes.
And he's already paid you $5,000.
Yes.
In order to break even, if you sold that car, all you need is $2,500.
Correct.
So I think that it's more than fair to give you credit for the $2,500 from what you paid.
Okay.
You paid $5,000. Half of that seems to be a more than reasonable figure to have full use of his property, and he repossessed the car. I don't think he had any basis to repossess the car, which is why he dismissed his case. And you certainly don't want to get involved with bankruptcies and payments, so you don't want this car back, because getting this car back will be more trouble for you than anything else.
Exactly.
I absolutely understand that, because then you're dealing with his creditors and whatever. I'm not trusting that whole situation. In any event, I don't think that you paying $2,500 towards the rental of the car over a 10-month period is unreasonable. And then he's whole. Then if he wants to spend money to have the car spruced up before he sells it, well, maybe he can get $8,500 for it, and then he's whole. So now everybody's happy. Judgment on the counterclaim for $2,500. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very happy.
Need a car? I had a car.
I don't think it was an honest transaction on his part.
I'll keep buying and selling.
So yeah, I think he was just trying to get a quick payday.
So I just want to make sure I have this right. The defendant was paying the plaintiff $1,000 a month towards the vehicle that the plaintiff had a title loan out on, but instead of paying off the title loan so the defendant would have the car free and clear,
right,
he decided to keep the payments and not pay off the title loan.
Correct. Which means that even after he completed the payments, which he was halfway finished with, he could not have gotten clear title.
Yeah.
Because the title is with the loan company. And he's filed for bankruptcy, so you can't come against him.
Kelly and Robert Burrows are suing their former friends, Marina and David Quadra, for illegal eviction and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everybody.
Hello, Judge. Case 2072, Burrows versus Quadra.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Quadra, you were living in a home, in a house?
Correct, a townhome.
That you didn't own. And for how long had you been renting that home?
We did not rent out the home.
How long, if you didn't own it, then you were renting it?
We rented it for 2 years, Your Honor.
It gets scarier if you have a fixed position in your head so that you're not listening to my questions. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did your lease start?
July of 2020.
And when was it to terminate?
It was terminated August 1st, 2022.
And it was terminated by an eviction?
Correct.
And you were evicted because the landlord said that you sublet the apartment to these people and their family?
Correct.
And they were people who you knew, both in the military?
Just him.
What do you do?
I'm a federal employee.
And you?
I'm active duty, ma'am.
But you knew each other from work?
Correct.
Where did you move in August?
National City, Your Honor.
How far is that from your prior residence?
It's about 30 miles south, Your Honor.
Are you in a home that you own or that you rent?
We are still renting.
How much are you paying in rent?
$21.50 a month.
You have a signed lease?
We do.
When did that lease start?
August 1st, 2022.
And why did you choose to live in National City?
It is closer to where he is stationed.
It is also
Don't speak.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much closer?
To his job.
To his job.
It went from a 30-minute drive to a 15-minute drive.
Okay, so that's better.
Correct.
You were evicted. You were served a notice of eviction on what date?
They let us know a month before August. They gave us a 30-day notice.
Now, did the plaintiffs have any furniture in the home that you were evicted from?
Prior to us being evicted, yes.
Yes, prior to your being evicted. And what furniture did they have?
2 dressers and a bunk bed.
Anything else?
That's as far as furniture.
And what furniture did you have in there prior to being evicted?
A full living room.
And when did you move that out? On what date?
The 30th of July, 2 days before our moving date.
So you moved out all of your furniture?
Correct.
And how much were you paying in rent in the place from which you were evicted?
$25.95.
Oh, I didn't write that down. How much were you paying in the new place?
The place we are in now, $21.50.
So you're paying less rent?
Correct. It's substantially smaller.
And substantially closer to his place of employment?
Correct.
Good. Now, do you want to tell me your version of how they came to be living in your house?
We received a call one night. It was very late, 10 p.m. Robert was very upset, crying. He had nowhere to go.
He?
Correct. Robert had nowhere to go, and Kelly was asking for a divorce. He asked if he could crash on the couch. We have a toddler at home, so I asked him to sleep in our guest bedroom instead of the couch. He stayed that first original night, and the next day he needed to job hunt as he was jobless. We offered to watch his child. He looked for the job and he came home. He asked us if he could stay for a while in that guest bedroom until he got onto his feet with the job. He offered money to just help out with utilities and
how much?
$1,000.
$1,000 a month?
No, just $1,000. And our words, when he had asked, and we asked him, how long do you think it will take you to get on your feet? It was just a couple weeks.
Okay, so he was offering $1,000,
correct,
which was 40% of your rent, to stay for 2 weeks, to stay in your guest bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty decent. Did he give you the $1,000?
He did.
And he gave you the $1,000 on what date?
He gave us the $1,000 on May 29th.
And when did he start staying there?
He started staying with us May 21st.
Then what happened?
He stayed with us for about a week. Everything was okay. He job hunted. I helped with the child. Within this week, he...
Look at me.
I'm sorry. He confided in us that he wanted to work on his marriage with Kelly. He did not want the divorce. It was something that she had asked for. They wanted to work on it together and had asked if Kelly could come around to stay with him and the children and work on their marriage.
When he moved into the guest room, did he take the children? Did he have the children with him?
He did, but it was just on certain nights. They were sharing.
And then he asked if Kelly could come as well.
Correct.
The wife. And what did you say? Why couldn't he go home?
He could not go home due to their relationship with her parents. Their parents.
Oh, she was living with her parents.
Correct.
And they were both living with her parents.
Correct.
So he said, I can't go home. We want to work on the marriage. Could we come and stay here with you?
Correct.
They have 2 kids?
They have 3.
They have 3 kids. And how many dogs?
4.
4 dogs. So far, you get 4 stars if you let her come.
I wish it would have worked that way.
No. You don't understand that that's where I'm at so far.
Yeah, of course.
So now, May 29th, he gives you the $1,000. She moves in when with the dogs?
So we had a long trip planned to Vegas. We let them know that after we had left, she could come stay while we were gone.
What month? June?
June, correct.
How long were you away?
We were away for 5 to 6 days.
Well, what was he going to do when she came there with the 4 dogs, 3 kids after 6 days? What was the plan?
This was never a plan of, here's a lease agreement, you are going to rent from us. It was just that I need somewhere to stay. Can they please come for this short period of time until we figure this out?
Great. Okay, now let me hear your version of the events. When you went to stay there with your children, you were having trouble with your wife.
It's incorrect.
Incorrect. What I said was, because I believe her, I believe that you called her and said exactly what she said. She told me. I mean, I don't have to have Whitney read it back. I believe that that's what you said. So I don't want to hear baloney about school districts. You were having trouble with your wife.
And later today.
You can't have it both ways.
It's a complicated case.
It's not complicated. It's very simple. You didn't have a written contract. If you had an oral contract, that's one thing.
Kelly and Robert Burrows claim their former friends, Marina and David Quadra, owe for an illegal eviction. Marina and David are countersuing, saying Kelly and Robert caused them to be evicted.
So when you went to their house and you wanted to work on your marriage, you could have gone back to your in-laws.
Yes, that's correct.
You could have. Why didn't you?
The reason why we decided to split up was because we're trying to keep our kids in the same school district. So with having 4 dogs, that's impossible to keep in an HOA. So she decided to go with her parents. I decided to stay back to finish the school year with the kids, still being in May, so they can finish in the same school district. That's why I decided I needed a mailing address so that they could stay in the same school district.
So you mean this discussion that she just said to me about you having problems, marital problems with your wife, that never happened?
Irrelevant. It's just...
No, that's not what I said. What I said was, because I believe her. I believe that that's what happened. I believe that you called her and said exactly what she said. She told me. I mean, I don't have to have Whitney read it back. I believe that that's what you said. So I don't want to hear baloney about school districts. You were having trouble with your wife.
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
And you didn't tell her that.
We had been moved out of our old place of 6 years in El Cajon, and we were trying for 6 months to find a new place. So yes, it does put a lot of stress on a relationship, but we did not have any marital...
Mr. Burrows, you know what my strong suit is, and there's no question that the cameras just caught your face. My strong suit is being able to spot a lie from a mile away. And I'm telling you that there's no question that you called her late at night and said, I'm having trouble with my wife. She asked me for a divorce. Can I come and stay with you? There's no question that whether it was true or not, I don't know, because clearly you're a liar. So maybe it wasn't true, but that's what you told her.
Your Honor, may I speak?
You want me to call your parents?
Please do.
Would you like me to call your parents? I'm just asking you, would you like me to call your parents?
No.
Of course not. That's an easy thing for me to do.
Part of what was going on was that we lived in our home for 6 years and the homeowners had moved back in, and so they asked us to leave, and we had been actively searching for a home. So yes, it did put a bit of a strain on our marriage, and I took my dogs with me so that I can keep my operating business at my parents' house because I am a dog boarder, dog sitter, and I did not want to shut my business down. And during this time, tensions, little things happening at my parents' house. So I said, you need to go see if you can rent a room or find somebody that can help you in the meantime till we can actively keep searching for a place for our family. We tried 5 different homes and we didn't.
I don't care. What I said to your husband was he lied to me. Because there's no question that he called, and whether it was true or not, that he said to your friends, I need a place to go. Do you have a place that I could stay on the couch? There's no question he said that to her.
That is true. Yes, that is true.
Okay. Well, then I want you to introduce your husband to the truth.
Is it true?
It's something that he hasn't met, because that's not what he told me what happened.
Correct.
So that was a mistake of his. That was a mistake. And you know what happens when you lied to me once? Your case is dismissed. Because what you're suing for is being evicted, and you go, blah, 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 emotional distress. You lie to me once, your case is dismissed. Now, we're going to come over here. You have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim is money owed for property damage.
Correct.
And for damages for eviction. Because what happened was your landlord evicted you because she comes with her 4 dogs, 3 gerbils, 2 parakeets to your house, and the owner of your condo doesn't want her any more than the owner of their last condo.
Of course.
Didn't want them. Got to save your money, buy your own house so you can have as many dogs and parakeets as you like. You moved into a place that's nicer?
Absolutely not.
Tell me what the papers said when your landlord notified you of the eviction. Do you have them?
We do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Yes, no problem. There was also in that piece of paper a $250 fine through our HOA from the whole commotion that he caused the day of asking them to leave.
Just a second, you were a month-to-month tenant?
Correct.
You didn't have a lease for 2 years. You were a month-to-month tenant.
We had a year lease, and then when the year was up, we moved month to month.
They didn't evict you?
No, they just gave us, they asked
Just a
us
second.
to leave.
Your lawsuit is for damages, punitive damages for an eviction. You weren't evicted.
Well, we were asked to leave if we...
No, they just decided not to renew your month-to-month lease.
Due to the...
I don't care what it was due to. Listen, if I owned a property and you let 3 kids, 4 dogs moved into my condo for 6 days, I wouldn't renew your lease on a month-to-month basis either. I don't care whether they were there for 2 days, 4 days, a week, or a month. You understand?
Understood.
Okay, so there was no eviction. So the punitive damages for that, forget it. Money owed for property damage. When they moved out, what did they damage? And how much did it cost you?
There was a hole in the molding from moving the dressers down our stairs. They bonked it, bringing it out angrily because they were mad that we asked them to leave. We have the letters from our landlord stating everything that they had to deduct from our deposit.
Just a second, a hole in the wall. And how much was the hole in the wall?
The molding was...
No, just look at the paper and tell me how much was the hole in the wall.
The painting was $180 and the molding repair was $200.
Now, did you damage the molding when you were moving a dresser out of the house?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, not that you're aware of. You want to try the truth now? Was there a hole that you created moving a dresser out of the house?
When David and I were moving our dresser over the stairs, down the stairs.
Who's David?
The defendant.
So you were moving out the dresser with him? Careful, introducing you to the truth. Did you move the dresser with him?
I did help move the furniture.
The case is dismissed. The
I went with the
counterclaim likewise is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I take it as a win. The initial suit was them against us. Their suit got dismissed.
We lost a lot of things and a lot of wages.
That was just us being good friends. We definitely learned our lesson. We will never help another crying husband on our doorstep claiming divorce again.
People that are offering to be nice to you in times of need don't charge you.
They kind of cried, oh, marriage and divorce the whole time, knowing that we're young and married. It's something we take seriously in our lives.
And we're still trying to build our lives back.
I should actually make a party to introduce all those people to Mr. Truth.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mismatch. Doesn't make sense. If you're going to stay with a friend for a few days, you don't bring a bunk bed and 2 dressers.
No.
I've stayed with friends for a couple days, long weekend. You bring a bag with some clothes.
Even with your kids.
Yeah, you don't bring furniture. You don't bring any of that. So there's a lot of discrepancies.
Things that didn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true.
Agreed.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với video của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về một cậu bé đang cầm một chiếc diều có họa tiết là những ngôi sao như thế này nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu. Ngôi sao mình sẽ tô màu đỏ. Màu xanh nhạt. Màu xanh nhạt hơn.
And now the next case.